Eli's here tonight with Dad Edwin Serprin and Mom Tammy Serprin. Once again, number 29, Eli Serprin. Our next senior is kicker number 36, Rob Reeser. Here tonight with Father Bob Reeser, Mother Pam Reeser, along with Godfather Emilio Cornaccione, along with Aunt Netta, Aunt Carolyn, and cousin Sarah Mahalik. Once again, number 36, Rob Reeser. Our next senior is defensive back, number 37, Savion Adams. Savion is here tonight with his mom, Shanae Waters, Dad Derek Adams, brother Jeremiah, along with grandparents Alan and Denise Waters, and grandmother Mary Adams. Once again, number 37, Savion Adams. Our next senior is defensive back, number 37, number 39, AJ Durant. AJ is here tonight with his dad, Alistair Durant, mom, Valerie Richardson, and sister, Aria Durant. Once again, number 39, AJ Durant. Our next senior defensive back, number 42, Jeremy Mack Jr. Jeremy's here tonight with Mom PJ, Grandma Samantha, Grandpa Robert, and baby brother Harlem. Once again, number 42, Jeremy Mack Jr. Our next senior linebacker, number 43, Derek Robinson. Derek is here tonight with Dad Derek Robertson Sr., Mom Benita Robinson, Aunt Kim Bradshaw, along with cousin Bobby Bradshaw Jr. and Bobby Bradshaw Sr., his uncle, who's also here with him tonight. Once again, number 43, Derek Robinson. Our next senior offensive lineman, number 54, Jake McCauley. Jake is here tonight with Mother Melissa McCauley, Father Bruce McCauley III, Brother Bruce McCauley IV, and Brother Xavier Braxton. Once again, number 54, Jake McCauley. A defensive back, number 57, Thorne Small. Thorne is here tonight with Mom Tricia Small, Father Gurney Small, Uncle Alan DeLeon, Godfather Archie Harris, Sister Tricia Nancy Small, and Brother Tyler Small DeLeon. Once again, number 57, Thorne Small. Our next senior is offensive lineman, number 58, Falu Koye. Tonight is the first time his family's had a chance to see him play football, and they're here in spirit with Mom Claudine Sina, Brother Moore Goye, Aunt Marie Bunga, and Sister Katie Goye. Once again, number 58, Falu Goye. Our next senior is an offensive lineman, number 64, Cameron Black. Cameron is here tonight with Father Dan Black, Mother Stacy Black, and Sister Collins Black. Once again, number 64, Cameron Black. Our next senior offensive lineman, number 66, Michael Labby. Here tonight with Michael, his father, Samuel, mother, Janine Henderson Labby, and grandmother, Avis Henderson. Once again, number 66, Michael Labby. An offensive lineman, number 75, Zion Smith. Zion is here tonight with Father Tony Smith, Mother Christine Smith, Grandmother Maureen Taylor, Aunt Kelshia Smith, Elder and Shira Sanders, his aunt and uncle. Once again, number 75, Zion Smith. Our next senior is long snapper, number 78, Declan Ferran. Declan is here tonight with Dad Ryan Ferran, Mom Kate Ferran, his brothers Gavin and Finley Ferran, and grandparents John and Diane Ferran. Once again, number 78, Declan Ferran. A wide receiver, number 80, Brandon Burrows. Brandon is here tonight with Brittany Burrows, his mom, along with brother Bryce Burrows, grandfather Russell Ferguson, and great-grandmother Shirley Clark. Once again, Brandon Burrows. A wide receiver, number 81, Braylon Faison. Braylon is here tonight with Dad Carlos Faison and Mom Lena Faison. Once again, number 81, Braylon Faison. And our final senior is a manager, Krishna Ramson. Krishna is here tonight with Dad Chris and Mom Beth Crawford. Once again, manager Krishna Ramson. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to recognize the DeMatha football class of 2026, the seniors.
good evening and happy Halloween to those out here watching on DM Stags TV as we get ready to have another great contest here between the DeMatha Stags and the Gonzaga Purple Eagles in this final regular season game for DeMatha. The players are just about ready to take the field, and we are about 3.5 minutes away from the coin toss and national anthem. I'm excited to see what happens tonight. DeMatha is 8-0 on the season. Gonzaga is 5-3. They're 1-1 in conference play, so they're hungry for a win. And it's a big rivalry game, Halloween night. Scott, how you feeling?
I'm right there with you, Eric. I think this is always a good game. It's a rivalry game. Both teams really bring it. I think being Halloween obviously makes it a little more fun. These guys are both teams are ready to come out and kind of show what they can do. Gonzaga obviously possibly playing for a playoff spot here. They're going to need a win to make sure their season keeps going. It's definitely a situation where I'm very, very curious how DeMatha is going to come out and start. I think that they've multiple times this year they've shown us how good they can be, but I haven't seen 4 quarters of it consistently together with their performance of what they should be able to do.
Yeah, that's specifically been true during conference play. DeMatha's 3-0 in the WCAC, but all 3 games have been tough wins. 7-0 win over Good Counsel on the road, a 12-7 victory against McNamara, and then a 23-20 overtime come-from-behind win for DeMatha against St. John's last week. So it's been a little sloppy. There have been a lot of penalties, and to the credit of the other teams, they've played really hard and stayed in those games, and DeMatha had to work to get them. I imagine it'll be similar tonight.
I agree. I think it's those are the types of games where it's you can still take a lot away from it, right? You had to kind of fight through as a team, make sure you got to the final whistle there with the win. So you kind of have learned to face adversity here. Now we need the DeMatha team to kind of learn about getting fast starts, and when they get that lead, not giving it up, right? Finishing the game. We talked about that multiple times for some of the home games here. They've had opportunities to finish games, and they kind of let teams linger around, and that's where you can get in trouble. So we'll have to wait and see kind of what happens with the game in general, but hopefully DeMatha can come out and get a quick start.
Yeah, so DeMatha, again, 8-0 on the season, looking to finish up their regular season undefeated. They'll have a couple weeks off, and then they will have their first playoff game on the 14th, 2 weeks from tonight, and then hopefully one more on the following Sunday on the 23rd for the championship game. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We got to take care of tonight, and we got to take care of business in a couple of weeks before we get to that point. But DeMatha certainly is in a great position to repeat as champions. But it's going to be tough, and they're going to have to play their best football. Now's the time to bring it.
Agreed, yeah. And I know for me tonight, one thing I'm going to be watching is going to be the wind, right? That's going to be a serious factor, particularly for DeMatha's kicking game. They had some trouble last week, multiple block kicks. You have Robert Reeser there who has plenty of leg to get the ball for field goals, and that gives DeMatha a definite advantage in that realm. But they're going to definitely have to play some strategy here, especially with the pass game and the kicking game, keeping an eye on the wind. I think we're going to be getting wind gusts probably up to about 15, 20 miles an hour, which can seriously affect the passing game and kicking game. Yeah,
so it looks like the wind is blowing more towards the non-scoreboard side of the stadium, so that will be a factor for field goal kicking, kickoffs, and things like that. We've talked about that in the past with Robert Reeser kicking. He's done a very good job all season, especially on kickoffs. But, like we mentioned the last couple of weeks, the special teams game, particularly field goal kicking, has been a little bit of a struggle. It came back to bite them against McNamara, kept McNamara in the game. And then last week, we couldn't quite finish the game off in regulation because of those block kicks. So hopefully DeMatha is able to get that cleaned up because they need to be firing on all cylinders in this rivalry game. Because if you didn't know, Gonzaga, they're our rivals.
Yes, definitely. And it looks like Gonzaga is going to be receiving the kickoff. DeMatha is going to have the wind at their back here for the first quarter. Giving Robert Reeser a good opportunity for a touchback.
Okay, so we will cut away for a brief moment for the prayer and national anthem.
Strong and faithful God, as we come together for this athletic event, we ask you to bless these athletes, keep them safe from injury and harm, instill in them respect for each other, and reward them for their perseverance. Bless all who have gathered for this game, students, parents, and visitors. Inspire all to have a true spirit of sportsmanship and a value for others. In all of us, may we have a
Christ-like attitude. Let us also remember our men and women who are in the armed forces. We pray that the Lord will keep them in the palm of his hand and return them safely home. Lead us all to the rewards of your kingdom where you live and reign forever and ever. Amen. St. John DeMatha. At this time, we ask that you please remain standing and direct your attention to the right of the scoreboard for the playing of our national anthem as performed by the Voices of DeMatha.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, and after yet again a wonderful rendition of our national anthem by the Voices of DeMatha, we are just about ready to get started here. 12 minutes on the clock. DeMatha will, like Scott said, will kick it away to start the game, and they will have the wind at their back to start this quarter. Scott, what are you looking to see here early from DeMatha's defense?
I think getting off the field, that's number one, right? That's what always you want to see from the defense. Really what I'm going to be curious about is kind of the pressure they can get in the quarterback. I think going into the wind, we're going to probably see a little bit more of the run game here from Gonzaga from the start. Airing it out when you're going into the wind can be a little more difficult, but still look for those short passes, right? Those quick ones. You can usually get away with those with the wind in your face. The DeMatha defense, really, I think the name of the game here is going to be limiting the mobility of some of these key players that Gonzaga has.
So Gonzaga is huddled up right around the 30-yard line, getting ready to receive. DeMatha's special teams unit is going to come on the field right now. As I said, DeMatha is kicking with the wind here, so good chance we see a touchback on this first kickoff from Rob Reeser, who has been excellent on kickoffs all season, and I imagine we'll see that right now.
Yeah, you can see Gonzaga's kind of planning for a deep kick. They're all the way back with their toes on the 5-yard line there. They actually have three players back ready to receive, just taking care of any directional issues the wind might present.
It is senior night here for the Stags, and Rob Reeser is among those seniors kicking the ball away to get this game started. And as predicted, it is well into the end zone. In fact, hits the back line for a touchback. No chance of a return there for Gonzaga, so we will see their offense take the field from the 20-yard line to start this drive.
Yeah, that's a great start. You always like not giving the return team a chance to start the game off with a big return or anything like that. We don't want any of the plays we used to call X plays, which that's pretty much any play over 20 yards to gain some momentum here.
All right, so this will be the first time we see Gonzaga's offense on the field. And the first play of the game is, in fact, a run, a handoff up the middle, and DeMatha is able to bottle it up for about a 2 or 3 yard gain on first down.
Yeah, good job by DeMatha there. Gonzaga coming in with a pretty heavy set there, 2 tight ends, pretty much announcing that they're going to run the ball, see if they can get a push up front, see if they can get the ball to move a little bit on that first down play.
So 2nd down and 8. Jason Lindsay is the starting quarterback for the Gonzaga Eagles. And already in sort of a passing situation here. Drops back to throw, and there's a whistle and a flag. We've got, looks like an offsides call against the Stags.
DeMatha is definitely challenging them off the bat here with that defense. They were playing man coverage. We had Gonzaga with a two-back set, but they had spread out the wide receivers wide, basically daring them to go one-on-one with the athletes on the edge there, see if DeMatha athletes are going to be able to cover or Gonzaga athletes are going to be able to get open there.
So after a good play on first down by the Stags defense, they give some yardage back with the encroachment infraction, setting up a 2nd down and 3. And we have another penalty on the play, and it looks like another encroachment against the Stags. Back-to-back penalties, and that's going to move the chains for Gonzaga. So 1 play from scrimmage and 1 first down, even though that 1 play gained 2 yards.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm wondering if we got a DeMatha guy kind of lining up too close to the neutral zone, and trying to get a quick start and just edging his way in. But from up in the booth here, nothing's massively obvious in terms of a false start.
Yeah, hopefully the ref can communicate to DeMatha whatever the issue is so that they can get that corrected, because encroachment penalties are not exactly fun to watch. So here we go, 1st and 10. Lindsey fires to his right, but it is incomplete. Nice slant pattern broken up by DeMatha. So that will set up a 2nd down and 10 after a nice effort by the defense.
That was really good. That was great coverage there. Gonzaga kind of signaling again with that personnel that they're going to be running the ball. Those slants, too, are pretty deadly when you're running a man defense. Textbook in terms of coverage against that route.
Yeah, that was Logan Brown on the coverage, breaking that pass up to set up this 2nd down and long for Gonzaga early in the game here on their first offensive drive. So Lindsey now hands off, run up the middle, and it's a decent gain on 2nd down. Looks like a gain of 4 or 5. We'll see where the ref decides to spot the ball, but that will bring up 3rd down, and DeMatha will have a chance to get off the field here.
Yeah, good job by DeMatha defensive line again. They're definitely going to have to keep an eye on where those blockers are moving, particularly those tight ends. Looks like they're trying to shift into positions to give them an advantage in terms of the blocking lanes. The trouble with that is the one time you're going to overread it, they're going to do a counter, or that's going to be a play-action pass, something along those lines. So you still have to kind of stay responsible for your gap responsibilities.
So ball spotted at the Gonzaga 38-yard line for this 3rd down play. They need to reach the 43 to move the chains.
First time we've seen the quarterback go under center, too.
So Lindsey keeps the ball and runs up the middle, and he's able to gain a nice chunk of yardage there and get to across midfield for a Gonzaga first down. It's kind of an odd-looking play there. He took the ball under center, looked like he was going to drop back, and then just decided to take off and picks up about 12 yards for a Gonzaga first down.
Yeah, usually you don't see the delayed under center quarterback draw, but that's exactly what that was. He basically two mini back pedal steps, kind of delayed, let the hole open up right in front of him, and was able to go through the line of scrimmage untouched. That's usually a play you usually see more from the shotgun position, because it allows the quarterback to read what the defensive line's doing and everything like that. But they must have seen something on tape that gave them that confidence.
Well, we'll see if that's a continued effort from their playbook and if DeMatha has to make an adjustment against that. But for now, 1st and 10, we do have a penalty marker from the back judge here. There was a man on Gonzaga attempting to get off the field. And it looks like that is the penalty. It looked like a too many men on the field penalty for Gonzaga breaking the huddle. So that will set them back 5 yards after they picked up their second first down of this drive.
And from up here, he had me fooled. I thought he was just doing an intense motion. But no, that was definitely breaking the huddle with too many men. That's just one of those things that's mental error. You really want to try to avoid those.
And penalties have been a major deciding factor in these football games. We've talked about that with DeMatha, but also last week against St. John's, they had critical penalties that stalled out their drive when they could have possibly won the game. So Gonzaga would like to avoid being in that situation as Lindsey is under pressure and fires over the middle. No man to be found here. Pass falls incomplete right around midfield, so it'll be 2nd and 15.
Yeah, that was actually a well-designed play in terms of our defensive line didn't pick that up. They all made it through on the rush, and our backers were starting to actually spread out into coverage. So Gonzaga had the right call on that, just not the execution that they needed.
So 2nd down and 15, ball spotted at Gonzaga's 45-yard line. Lindsey again takes the snap, looking right, tries to escape, and he is taken down for a loss of about 3 on the sack, and that'll set up a 3rd down and 18 as DeMatha gets home and gets the sack.
That was a big play. Creating essentially a position where Gonzaga is not in the best of field position to punt. They're punting into the wind. It's if DeMatha is able to stop him here and kind of keep him to a minimal gain, it could be a situation where it could turn into some good DeMatha field position on offense.
So after the tackle for loss or sack, it looked like maybe he was trying to run with the ball a little bit there. Not sure if that was a design play or not. It looked like he was looking downfield, but nevertheless, it is a loss of 3. But we have what looks like a DeMatha timeout here. So 8:09 to go here in the first quarter. We have our first time out of the game. It's 3rd and 18 for Gonzaga when we return to play here.
Yeah, so far it's been actually kind of a rather uneventful drive, right? We've had basically 3 penalties that have moved the ball, 2 against DeMatha, 1 against Gonzaga. By far the best play was the quarterback draw. Definitely they must have seen something on tape that gave them the confidence to call an under center quarterback draw on that one. But besides that, they had the opportunity there for the screen, just didn't get to execute it. I think DeMatha is doing okay overall in terms of defense. They haven't really had a ton of variety to be challenged with. What I've been really happy with, it looks like the secondary is covering really well, even on that last play. There's definitely pressure on the quarterback, but he didn't have any options downfield to get rid of the ball quick. It was pretty much a takeover by the D-line quickly on him to get that sack.
Yeah, DeMatha's secondary had a bit of a day off last week against St. John's, who came with a very heavy rushing attack. They had 2 running backs that they basically handed the ball off basically every play. There were a couple of screen passes in the first half, but it was mostly just run. So not a whole lot of time for DeMatha's excellent secondary to make plays. But they look like they're going to have that opportunity because Gonzaga is definitely dropping back to throw quite a bit, and they're probably going to have to right now on 3rd down and 18. It is a pitch play out to the left, so that made a fool out of me, and a big hit by the Stags to take the ball carrier down, about a 1-yard gain on the play, setting up a 4th and very long. I imagine Gonzaga's going to have to send the punt unit onto the field for this play.
Yeah, I missed who that was, but one of the DeMatha players did an excellent job of setting that edge. They basically stepped out in front of the play, filtered the running back to the interior, and that's where you get those big hits. You got some big boys chasing down that play from the backside, and you do not want to square up with them full at the line of scrimmage when they're full speed.
So after a couple of first downs for Gonzaga, they will have to punt the ball away into the wind like we discussed earlier. And it is a short kick. It's going to bounce short and take a pretty positive roll for Gonzaga. And it looks like it's going to stop and lay up right around the 26-yard line. So DeMatha will have okay field position to start this first drive after giving up a couple first downs.
Definitely a good bounce there for Gonzaga, but yeah, kicking in that wind, it was a little bit of a messy punt, and that's the smart call. You just call poison on that, have all your players get away from it. You can't deal with the field position at what it is, but quite honestly, starting off with the 26, I don't hate that, right? Anything outside the 20 is always a good starting spot.
Yeah, especially after you did give up a couple of first downs on that drive, so that is pretty good effort by the special teams unit there, and DeMatha's defense did push Gonzaga back to kind of create a little bit of an opportunity here on this first drive to not be backed up. So Saab takes the snap and hands off to Lee, who runs up the middle and fights forward. Looks like he got to about the 29-yard line. We'll see where the ref spots the ball. But a modest gain on first down. A little bit of a kerfuffle after the play, but looks like nothing doing as far as the officials go. And the ball is spotted right just shy of the 30-yard line. And now it's being moved back to exactly the 29-yard line. So
always go with your gut feeling. You had the call right on the first one. What I'm definitely going to be watching here is I'm going to be watching a lot of the edge on for the Gonzaga rush. They have a couple of good defensive ends. They have some good edge rushers. So DeMatha definitely have to keep an eye on them and make sure they can't get too involved here.
So Saab takes a snap and fires to LeVar Keys, his go-to target, and he scoots, looks like right around the first down marker. Again, we will see the spot.
Just shy.
It looks like he's going to be just shy. That's what I assumed. I'm still trying to figure out where the ref's going to put the football. So, yeah, 35-yard line is the spot, so that'll set up a 2nd down and 1 for DeMatha to try to pick up their first, or their 3rd down and 1, I'm sorry.
They're moving it back for some reason.
So there is a flag. I do see it on the far side of the field now.
Illegal man downfield,
So
it looks like.
illegal man downfield is going to push DeMatha back. to probably a 2nd and down and 12 after the penalty is marched off. So football is on the move quite a bit, kind of going back and forth to start this game. Not a whole lot of progression down the field on either side yet. So it'll be 2nd down and 12 for DeMatha.
Yeah, not what you want to see. At least it's a repeated down now. DeMatha still has very manageable 2nd and looks like 11 or 12 here to deal with.
And so that was a successful pass play to get about 6 yards on 2nd down, but that is canceled out by the penalty. So DeMatha is backed up and behind the chains now. We will see what their passing game has to say about that. And Sab quickly turns to the ref and calls a timeout. He's not happy. So this is the 2nd timeout DeMatha has called, and we are barely 6 minutes or 5 minutes into the game, so not really what you want to see, giving up your timeouts, but DeMatha has shown to be strategic using their timeouts, not to necessarily manage the clock, but to just kind of regroup. They did that successfully against St. John's, and looks like they're going to do that now because it seems like there's a little bit of miscommunication going on there.
Yeah, I completely agree, Eric. I would much rather have a team taking timeouts if you need them to kind of reset or to clarify communication. Ideally, you want them at the ends of the halves there, but it's you can't measure the value of a timeout just to kind of regroup your head and make sure everyone's on the same page, because that's going to hopefully lead to better plays in this drive and or the next, versus waiting to hold off on them and getting a bad play because you're just kind of trying to get through to get to the next play.
So 6:38 to go here in the first quarter. DeMatha has the ball at their own 24-yard line. It's 2nd down and 12. Sab takes the snap, fires a quick pass, but the pass is incomplete. The target was Chase Irvin on the play. So that will set up a 3rd down and long for the Stags.
Yeah, that pass was just a little bit off target, kind of just out of the reach of Chase there. With the win, though, I think being 3rd and long, we're still okay to kind of air it out here.
So we will see what DeMatha decides to do. Again, 3rd down and 12. We have seen them have success throwing the ball. It's a big part of the reason they got back in the game against St. John's last week. Tristan Sab has shown capability to handle these situations and create big plays. So Sab looking over the middle, scrambles outside, dumps it off, and the pass is incomplete. Target was Austin Barber on the play. The pass is a little bit behind him, and he's unable to bring it in. So that will be a 3-and-out for the Stags as they send their punt unit onto the field.
Yeah, that was the right read by Tristan Sab on that one. Just left it a little bit behind Austin Barber. That's a really tough catch to make when it's a pretty short pass. You don't have a lot of time to read the ball in the air, and it's a little bit behind you. You're kind of trying to pull that in with one hand. Again, it was the right read. Nothing more to say about that. You kind of got to just move on and get to the next play.
Yeah, Barber had room to run if he was able to bring that one in, but unfortunately for the Stags, nothing doing. So with 6:30 to go, DeMatha's first drive will end in a punt. And it is a darn good one, clearing the return man by quite a bit. Takes a decent bounce for Gonzaga instead of rolling forward, and he is able to get a decent return out of this. Perhaps an excellent return as he's able to bust down the left sideline and cut it back, but there is a penalty flag right at the end of the play. The ball carrier took the ball right around midfield. We'll see what the penalty ultimately is here, but that was a nice effort by Gonzaga special teams after a fantastic punt that sort of outkicked the coverage a little bit on that one.
Yeah, we definitely got a flag here against Gonzaga, but that was not a great job by the DeMatha cover team. The returner did a good job of kind of starting out on the far side of the field, drawing them all over towards that side of the play, and that's one of those things in return game you got to keep in your lanes, because if they bounce it and there's too much of a gap between your gunners and the cover team, you end up with huge gaps. So we had guys leave lanes a little early and created that huge space.
So the penalty was marched off from Gonzaga's 45, 10 yards back, so they will start this drive on their own 35. Still pretty darn good field position, all things considered. That looked like it could have easily been a situation where they ended up inside their own 20, but again, took a decent bounce from the return man, did a great job sort of picking the ball up off the bounce, and then DeMatha's coverage just unfortunately was not there on the play.
Yeah, definitely not a friendly DeMatha bounce on that one.
And so 1st and 10.
Gonzaga coming back out in that heavy set, 2 tight ends in.
So Lindsey does hand the ball off. And Gonzaga's line is able to get a little bit of a push, but not much. The ball carrier's stopped, and I didn't hear a whistle, but imagine forward progress is about a 2 or 3 yard gain for Gonzaga on this play. As Ashton Burton on the carry. He seems like he's going to be the main running back we see, especially in the early downs.
Yeah, I think what you're going to see with that heavy set is you're going to see basically Gonzaga try to outnumber the line of scrimmage with blockers versus defenders, try to get a little push up front, get some extra yardage, but you got to watch out for those quick passes on the backside of that.
So once again, Lindsey is under center, and he hands the ball off to Burton, who squirts forward for maybe a yard, so that'll set up a 3rd down and 6 for Gonzaga.
These are always the distances I don't like because you can kind of have an offense go either way, right? They could try to air it out here with a quick pass. They could fake the quick pass, try to go deep, or they could even try to take the edge here and run the ball. I wouldn't be surprised even if they try to go back to that screen play. That looked like it was wide open. With a screen play, they would definitely get enough yardage out of that.
Yeah, Gonzaga has not had a whole lot of success early on running the ball here, whether it's up the middle. They tried that end-around play that did not work. So we'll see what they have to say on 3rd down and 6 from their own 39-yard line. And we've got a stoppage here and another DeMatha timeout.
That's a little surprising. I think DeMatha was kind of holding their water well. Gonzaga tried to go with the hard count, get an easy 5 yards out of DeMatha by drawing them off sides. Not sure what they were seeing there to call that timeout, being the last timeout that they have. We're only in the first quarter. We still have 4 minutes and 44 seconds left. Usually don't see all your timeouts gone this early in the game. Or this early in the half, excuse me.
They must have seen something. So, again, DeMatha seems to be needing the conference up a little bit here, although their defense has held strong. It's been a pretty uneventful game, as we talked about. Not a whole lot doing for Gonzaga's offense. They've got 2 first downs, one of which was via penalty, and the other which was a pretty clever QB draw from under center, something that we didn't expect to see. But it was a nice play. But other than that, not a whole lot of success throwing the ball through the air. It's one pass play that was on the slant that was broken up by Logan Brown, and then not a whole lot of success running the ball outside of that. So hopefully DeMatha's defense can keep that going and see if their offense can get cooking as well.
Yeah. We're just going to obviously keep an eye on. I think again, like I said, with this field position, and also only about a 3rd and 6 to go. Gonzaga has a lot of options in terms of the play they want to call.
So a different ball carrier in the backfield is Jeremy Washington lined up, number 4. So perhaps a different look and a different type of play here for Gonzaga. As Lindsey drops back, there's pressure, and the pass is intercepted. DeMatha is able to generate a turnover on the 3rd down, and the ball is carried right around the 33-yard line, so DeMatha will have excellent field position after the pick.
That is definitely what you would call a team interception. That was a great job by DeMatha's guys up front. Pressuring the quarterback. He had to keep backpedaling. DeMatha was bringing the blitz at the same time. Blitzer got through pretty untouched. Almost was about to make the sack. Quarterback never had a chance to plant his back foot and actually drive into that throw, leaving a little outside the receiver and slow, which allowed the secondary man to run up and make that interception.
It looked like that was M.J. Martin on the interception, so another nice play from him. We've called his name quite a couple of times so far this season. So DeMatha will start the ball at at Gonzaga's 32 after the turnover on this drive. 4:39 to go. Sabb takes a little bit of a high snap, hands off to Lee. Lee gets a decent hold there, and he fights forward for about the 26-yard line for a nice 6-yard gain on 1st down.
Yeah, great. That's a great way to start off this drive, right? It looked like Sabb, even in the last drive, 2 times we saw him a little frustrated, right? One where the timeout was called, second one where he missed the pass on the back shoulder of the running back. That's a great way to kind of get a quarterback to settle back in, right? Get just a solid gain on 1st down. There's a lot less pressure here on 2nd down trying to convert.
So 2nd down and 5 after the 1st down run play. Sabb hands off once again to Lee, and he gets another nice hole up the middle and is met right around the 21-yard line on the carry, and that should be enough to move the chains for the Stags, and yes, it is. DeMatha will have their first down of the game as the ball will be spotted right around the 21-yard line, so just knocking on the door of the red zone here for DeMatha.
And what I have noticed is a couple times it looks like there's been some miscommunication in the Gonzaga secondary. On that play, they realized they were out of position and were shifting the entire secondary when the ball was snapped. We'll have to keep an eye on that because if that happens during a passing play, they could be in real trouble.
So 1st and 10 for the Stags. Sab looking to his right, firing to the corner of the end zone, looking for LeVar Keys, and pass is incomplete. There was some contact there, but no flag, it appears.
No, there is a flag on the ground.
The pass intended for LeVar Keys.
I said there is a flag in the end zone. Now I see it. There's a coach in the way, so I couldn't initially see it.
Yeah.
We will see what the call is here. It may be pass interference. It did look like there was some early contact, sort of barring Keys from trying to be able to get to the ball.
That's the right call, though, is to wave off that flag. I was going to be surprised if they kept it. That we would consider that an uncatchable ball.
And I felt like it was sort of mutual contact as well. Like he's kind of engaged with the defensive back just as much as the defensive back engaged with him. So I agree with the no call. I was a little surprised when there was a flag on the field, and for objectively speaking, I'm glad they picked it up. So.
Agreed. Yeah, I think it could have went either way in terms of if they were going to actually call the interference on that.
All right, so that will set up 2nd down and 10 after DeMatha took a shot at the end zone. And a fake handoff, and this time Keys is able to catch it for a slant and take it to the paint for a touchdown. DeMatha jumps out to a 6-0 lead here after another nice play from LeVar Keys, who has been DeMatha's biggest playmaker all season, and nothing different there. An excellent throw and catch and run after the catch to take it to the touchdown.
I will say that was a perfectly timed call, too. You basically had 2 really good run plays, get the 1st down, take a shot at the end zone, doesn't happen. What's Gonzaga thinking? Oh, they're going back to the run, right?
That was what I was thinking, too. I was figuring it was going to be a handoff.
Nice little play action. Gonzaga had actually stacked the box. They had 4 defensive linemen and 3 linebackers, and they all bit on that fake.
Unfortunately, the PAT is no good. Looks like it was wide left, but we do have a flag on the field.
I'm guessing that's going to be roughing the kicker.
Yeah, it looked like there was contact with Reeser on the kick. So the refs are in communication.
Still waiting on the signal here.
So it looks like McGregor is trying to get some information from the ref, like, was the kick good? The ref signaled no good on the kick. We signaled wide left, but the call is running into the kicker against Gonzaga, so they will retry the extra point from a little bit closer this time.
And I will say, I know from talking to some of the DeMatha guys, they definitely have been working on field goals and PATs this week because of what happened last week with the block kicks.
So this time the kick is up, and it is good. So DeMatha finishes that drive off with the extra point and takes a 7-0 lead, 3:17 to go here in the first quarter. The turnover creates a short field. DeMatha's offense goes to work. A couple of nice runs, and then a quick pass play for the touchdown. Nice job by the Stags.
Yeah, that was a great execution all around. Offensive line really establishing the run, allowing for that play action pass to be, the play action to be convincing on that touchdown pass. And LeVar even doing a great job of, he had to go up for that ball a little bit, regrouping his feet, focusing on the catch, and then cutting straight up the field in the end zone, basically untouched.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive that he was able to leave his feet and then sort of re-accelerate that quickly. Looked like he had plenty of space in front of him anyway, but it's still nice to see that somebody could make a play like that for you.
It is interesting. We got Reeser teeing it up here on the far hash mark.
Yeah, I haven't paid close enough attention to see where his kicks directionally trend, but there might be something to that.
The last one was out of the back of the end zone, so I'm assuming we're going to see something similar with this.
This kick is a little shorter, but into the end zone, so that's still going to be a touchback. Didn't quite reach the back line like the monster kick that we saw to open the game, but nevertheless, just as good of an effort. And Gonzaga will start their 3rd offensive drive at the 20-yard line, trying to regroup after the interception that led to this DeMatha touchdown and a quick lead.
Yeah, we got about 3 more minutes with the wind into Gonzaga's face and that DeMatha's back here. So hopefully DeMatha's defense can capitalize on that, because with this wind, I don't think there's going to be much of a chance that you'd be able to put a ball on a line for a deep pass. So any deep passes would have to get a lot of air under them. So they probably are going to be trying to avoid any of that here while they're still facing into it.
So Lindsey takes a snap, looking right, and fires down the sideline despite playing to the wind, but we do have a penalty flag on the play.
And that's going to be defensive pass interference. Defender out there was a little tied up with him. Definitely helped to stall his momentum on his route.
So we will see what the call is, whether it's holding or pass interference. I believe the ref signaled holding. Okay,
yeah.
so that'll only be a 5-yard infraction instead of 15. So not quite as bad, but still.
It looks like they're giving him 10 on that one.
Huh. Interesting. Okay, well, I
Learn
stand corrected.
We learn something every day.
Yes.
What you're saying is probably more than I would know. So I can make the calls of what they are for the signals, but that's about it.
Yeah, we're still figuring out some of the rules differences, but there's a nice run play up the middle for Gonzaga. The first one we've really seen on a handoff where they've been able to get a decent push, and it's about a 6 or 7 yard gain.
That was actually another QB draw.
Oh,
it was just from the shotgun position, so that was definitely interesting. They're actually seeing more. Seems like more success on kind of direct snap QB draws than they are on the run plays.
Well, that caught me off guard because I'm used to seeing the quarterback be under center, and that was kind of a more conventional QB draw, so it threw me off. So thank you for pointing that out, Scott.
No problem. I think it was anyway. I was slightly looking away. It looked like he went straight from the snap.
All right, so from the shotgun, and Lindsey bobbles the ball, and the ball is loose, and DeMatha is trying to scoop and score it, and it looks like they're going to do just that after a couple of bobbles. DeMatha picks up the loose ball and scores yet another touchdown.
Those are the plays that will give you massive headaches. Basically, those are momentum killers and momentum builders, right? It's like for DeMatha, they are on cloud 9 right now. DeMatha's defense hasn't had to be out there super long on the field for this drive, so they're still going to be fresh coming back out. That's always a concern with a scoop and score. If you've been on a basically 10-play drive and then you intercept it and take it back to the house, defense still has to go back out next play. But they're going to be fresh coming into this one with a lot of adrenaline going after that score.
So that was Thomas Berry who ultimately recovered the fumble and took it to the end zone for the Stags. So we will see Reeser once again attempting to put another extra point on the board. High snap, the kick is low, and it is good despite a little bit of a struggle there.
Yeah, that definitely looked like a miss hit. I'm not sure if it was partially the hold or if it was Reeser just coming up a little bit earlier. Honestly, sometimes kicking is probably the closest thing I can equate it to is kind of like golf, right? You hit one bad shot once or you get one shot blocked, right? Being, from last week, you start to pick your head up a little bit early on those shots because you want to start tracking where the ball's going, make sure it's not going to get blocked. So I'm not sure if that's what Reeser did on that one or if the hole was just a little bobbled.
Well, all I know is there are 3 boundaries to define whether a kick is good or not. There's the 2 uprights and there's the crossbar, and it went in between them. Style points don't matter.
Oh, 100%.
So the kick was good.
Just
DeMatha takes a 14-0 lead.
Just like they say in golf, there's no pictures on the scorecard, right?
Yeah,
It doesn't matter how you get there.
I've had plenty of times where I've hit a good shot, and it wasn't really a good shot, but it worked. So,
yes, 100%.
You'll take whatever you can get. So DeMatha will once again be kicking with the wind, which is another sort of perk of a quick score there, is that this will be their 3rd kickoff into the wind with 2:24 to go here in the first quarter. And Reeser's definitely getting his work cut out for him, but he has to reset because the wind took the ball off the tee.
Yeah, the wind's actually kind of at that perfect level right now where you don't need a holder, but it's giving him pretty much as much help as possible without needing a holder because getting a holder on the kickoff here would definitely take off some yardage.
Yeah, the wind's definitely picked up a little bit. I can see those red flags at the top of the goalpost. They're moving a little more. And again, we've got another kick about 2 yards short of the back line, well into the end zone for yet another touchback for Reeser and the Stags to start Gonzaga's 4th drive now on their own 20-yard line.
Yeah, this is kind of where DeMatha wants to be, right? You're in the first quarter, you're up by 14. Now this is where I'm curious to see what they do with it. They really have the opportunity here. If they could put another score in without letting the Eagles down the field to score, that really, really sends a message. And it's hard, honestly, as a player, when you see yourself down by 3 scores, it emotionally kind of defeats you. It takes your mental game out.
So we've got a quick throw to the left here on what looked like it was trying to be a screen pass that DeMatha does a good job bottling up. That was Langston Blair, who's listed as a defensive back, but I guess he lines up on the offensive side. Nothing doing, though, on that play, so they do lose a yard on the play to set up 2nd and 11.
Yeah, that was really great. You had 3 receivers out there. Basically, you had a point receiver who is going to be the lead blocker, and usually you're supposed to make your cut off that point receiver in that type of pass. But the defender really squared up that point receiver and didn't give him a right or a left go, allowing other DeMatha defenders to kind of swarm the ball and get that tackle.
So 2nd down and 11. Lindsey takes the snap. Looks left and then looks right and then comes back left. I'm sorry. I struggle with my left and right occasionally, but nevertheless, it's an incomplete pass on another screen attempt, and that'll set up 3rd down and 11 for Gonzaga as they are desperately trying to get something going here after a punt and then 2 turnovers that lead to 2 quick stag scores. They've got to have their offense on the field for a little while to try to get at least some control back of this football game.
Yeah, I didn't hate that call by Gonzaga. That was a good call. The throw was open. The running back was going to have a few yards to work with there. The receiver, honestly, good job by DeMatha's defense, getting hands up, making the visibility of that passing lane kind of shrink down and making it harder to catch the ball.
So 3rd down and 11. Lindsey takes an awkward snap, fakes the handoff, and the ball is batted and intercepted once again, and it's another defensive score for the Stags after the deflection. We do have a penalty, looks like towards DeMatha's huddle, so we'll see what that call is about. But Jordan Stevens takes it to the end zone after the deflection at the line of scrimmage. That is another DeMatha touchdown.
We're definitely going to – I'm wondering if this is a sideline warning for DeMatha. Yeah, this is a sideline warning for DeMatha, so not affecting the play, but definitely something they want to keep in mind because next time that happens, it's going to be a penalty. But I also get the enthusiasm. That was one heck of a play. Had a batted ball up front, basically floated in the air. Defender came down full speed and grabbed that interception to take it to the house. That is hugely deflating for Gonzaga right now.
Yeah, Gonzaga was already not doing well offensively, and now that's 3 straight drives with turnovers, including 2 straight with the turnovers resulting directly in a touchdown to give DeMatha a 21-0 lead after yet another Rob Reeser successful extra point.
Yeah, that was a much better kick by Reeser on that one. That's kind of what we've normally seen from him, getting plenty of air under it. But, again, just going back to that play on defense, that was all around excellent. They kind of had to delay fake handoff. No one in the secondary really bit up on it hard. They read it as a play action. They trust the defensive line to get in there and stop the run plays. They don't need to bomb down on them. And with that, the defender essentially was able to get his hands up in the way on the defensive line, bat that ball up into the air, and let the secondary come down on it full speed and take it to the house.
So I did not expect to see yet another kickoff with the wind this quarter, but DeMatha just keeps turning turnovers into immediate points. And Reeser definitely is, I'm glad he's worked his hamstrings out today because he's getting a lot of work.
The DeMatha, just one quick stat we're getting here from one of the guys working the telecast is 21 points for DeMatha in 1 minute and 47 seconds. I think we're working on probably DeMatha records here at this point.
Sounds like something I might be able to do in Madden, but not in an actual football game. Once again, another touchback for Reeser. Again, I feel like I'm judging his touchbacks now because that one was only about 4 yards into the end zone, so he's got to pick it up a little bit.
I will say that was the one that I do like the shape of that kick more. He's definitely getting more air under him because that's what you're going to want when there's not a lot of wind. Now, when they flip back and go into the wind, you're going to want him to flatten them out a little bit more because you want to cut through that wind.
We are obviously nitpicking as much as possible when discussing touchbacks because, again, these are all excellent kicks, and Reeser's doing a fantastic job. And DeMatha's defense is doing a fantastic job after forcing a punt and then 3 straight turnovers. We'll see if they can do it again here. Lindsey takes another poor snap, looks to his left, and this time is able to connect on a short pass. And that, again, is Langston Blair, who's able to pick up a few yards. Looks like he's going to actually quite a few. He's got 7 yards on that play. So a nice play on first down to sort of give them at least a little something going after some really, really backbreaking turnovers that they've had.
And we are getting more stats for our booth here. This is great. Another stat for DeMatha. They've now scored more points than they have in their last 3 games combined. So in that short period of time, the last 3 WCAC games, excuse me.
Well, I'm going to have to correct the record there because DeMatha scored 23 points last week.
Oh, come on, Diego.
But
you're messing with my head.
It went to overtime, so, But, hey. So Lindsey fires over the middle, and this time he's able to hit his man, and it's going to be a first down for Gonzaga, and that looks like that is number 0. That's their tight end, Braden Marco, who's able to make that play. I feel like I've seen him before. He's been featured on this team for quite a while. And so that was a nice play for him. And he's a senior, and he's able to move the ball to the 47-yard line of Gonzaga. So they do have a little something going here. A couple nice plays for Gonzaga to sort of get a little bit, I won't call it momentum, but just sort of get their legs under them after it's been a topsy-turvy quarter for them.
Definitely. DeMatha's defense has to settle in here. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see him keep going to the big man, the tight end.
So this is a direct snap to Langston Blair, who gets a nice carry on first down, takes it into Stags territory. It looks like he's going to pick up 5 or 6 yards. We'll see where the spot ultimately is. And the ball is spotted at the 48, so that is a 5-yard gain on first down. So a little bit of good action for the Eagles here as we are winding down towards the end of the first quarter. We'll see if we get one more snap off. Gonzaga doesn't appear to be in a huge hurry, and understandably so, but here we go. We'll see. There's 5 seconds to go. They've got to hurry if they want to get this snap off. And it looks like that's not going to happen. The horn sounds, and we will head to the second quarter with DeMatha holding a 21-0 lead, but Gonzaga is on the move here. And we will once again have a short turnaround as we flip field. The ball is only going to move a total of 4 yards, which is what Scott loves when he was playing football. So.
It is something I do love. I'm not going to lie. But I would definitely keep an eye on that matchup with the tight end Braden Marco. I think that's going to be one of the advantages they might have in the passing game. He's a pretty big fella there playing tight end, and he's definitely going to present some size issues for the secondary at DeMatha. And it looks like so far that the DeMatha secondary has matched up pretty well against the receivers, those outside guys. Yep. So if you can't beat a team with speed, you try to beat them with size maybe a little bit in terms of the passing game. Tight ends kind of give you the advantage. They can box out a little bit on the catch, keep their back to the defenders, and give the quarterback a slightly bigger target to get the ball on. Now with Gonzaga flipping the field and going with the wind, don't be surprised if they start to take a couple more shots downfield.
So when we return here, it'll be 2nd down and 5 at DeMatha's 48 for Gonzaga as they're trying to get on the scoreboard after having a really rough first quarter. 21-0 for the Stags, including 2 defensive touchdowns.
Yeah, this is again where you want to see the DeMatha defense here kind of settle down a little bit, right? You're riding high on 2 big plays, 2 back-to-back touchdowns for the defense, which is incredible, but sometimes you can almost get a little overconfident in terms of where the game's going at this point. It's still pretty darn early, so you definitely want to settle in and get a stop here, even on 2nd and short.
So Gonzaga's student section is present here, and they are quite spirited despite the deficit. So it looks like another direct snap carry across the DeMatha 45-yard line. Ball will probably be spotted around the 44, and that will move the chains for Gonzaga here. Ball will ultimately be spotted at the 44-yard line. So Jason Lindsay at that time, again, quarterback keeper, is able to pick up a decent chunk of yards. And Gonzaga is now on the march. 1st down and 10 as we just start this second quarter.
We've seen that's been their most effective run game here is just the direct snap, giving the quarterback the read and letting him take the carry.
So Lindsay drops back in. This time fires towards his tight end, but the throw is off target to the left. And we've seen that happen a couple of times on these sort of short passes where Lindsay just can't quite hook up with his guy, and it's resulted in an incompletion.
Yeah, the screens are open for Gonzaga. The defensive line's coming through hard. The secondary is dropping back. You're getting that buffer area of where you would want that reception to occur. So it's definitely something DeMatha wants to keep an eye on. Luckily, on the 3 or 4 attempts we've seen so far, DeMatha's actually gotten so much pressure so quickly on the quarterback, he hasn't really been able to establish himself and get a good throw behind the ball to the receiver.
So 2nd down and 10. Lindsay fakes the handoff and then hands it off to the other running back. They had 2 backs in the backfield that time. And that's a nice carry for a 1st down inside the DeMatha 35-yard line. Langston Blair on the carry after the fake handoff to Ashton Burton. So Gonzaga's getting a little bit in their bag right now, trying to make something happen here. Nice play there to pick up a 1st down.
Yeah, they're definitely finding a kind of a rhythm here on offense. They're chipping away. They're getting some 10-yard plays here. They're getting a 4-yard play here. Nothing massive, but this is where teams start to get in rhythm, get a little dangerous.
So Lindsay once again hands the ball off. This time DeMatha's defense is ready, and they get a stop for a short gain, maybe 2 yards on the play.
honestly, those kind of traditional run plays, we're seeing Gonzaga gain the least amount of yards. It's the misdirection in the backfield. It's the quarterback keepers. It's a lot of stuff that is a little less traditional in terms of the run game that's much more effective for them. I'm kind of wondering, if I were the coach, I probably wouldn't return to those plays too often except for just keeping DeMatha honest.
So Jordan Stevens and Kai Jones combined to make that stop for the Stags to set up a 2nd down and 9 here for Gonzaga as they are attempting to get on the scoreboard here. Lindsey again fakes the handoff, fires over the middle to his tight end, once again finding Braden Marco for a 1st down. And he seems to be becoming a featured member of this offense as they attempt to try to turn the corner here.
Yeah, I think you're seeing him become a primary target. I think he's presenting size issues in terms of the coverage players. It's also just giving the quarterback a little bit of a bigger target. I feel like the quarterback's been off a little bit on some of his accuracy. But when it comes to throwing to the tight end Marco, it seems like he's hitting him pretty square each time.
So this will be Gonzaga's first trip into the red zone here. Ball spotted at the 19-yard line after the 1st down pickup. And Marco goes in motion here, so we'll keep an eye on him. This time he's pulling, and it's a throw, another screen attempt, and it does not work out. Falls incomplete.
Again, it was there. The offensive lineman was coming out to make the block on the defender. Actually made the block on the defender. Just poor ball placement, not allowing the receiver a chance to make the catch and make a play.
And that was my fault on that call because I was so engrossed with Marco because he's making good plays. I kind of kept my eye on him instead of following the ball. And I was like, oh, wait, the pass went somewhere else. Maybe I should talk about that. But fell harmlessly incomplete, so no big deal.
That's what I'm here for, Eric. And you got my back when I'm paying attention to the wrong thing, so I appreciate that.
All righty. 2nd down and 10 for Gonzaga, I'm sorry. And we'll see what Gonzaga has here. This time a handoff, and the tailback is able to bust it outside, and he is going to get all the way to the end zone for Gonzaga's first touchdown of the day. That is Jeremy Washington on the off-tackle run, and Gonzaga is able to finally answer after a really rough first quarter. They get on the board and cut this to a 2-touchdown lead for DeMatha.
That was a really good play. Definitely right read by the running back. DeMatha kind of lost contain there. Secondary got kind of pulled into the play. A little misdirection in the backfield. Again, that's been working for Gonzaga pretty well, is some of that misdirection in the backfield, and it's going to be a problem if DeMatha can't make an adjustment to kind of get that worked out.
So they're going for 2 here, it appears. They've got an interesting swinging gate style formation, and now they're going back towards their standard PAT formation. So a little bit of chicanery here from Gonzaga, but ultimately it results in the typical PAT is good, 21-7 DeMatha, but a good drive for Gonzaga to sort of stay attached here after it looked like this game was going to get away from them.
I agree. I think that was a big moment for the Gonzaga offense there. Being able to essentially drive the length of the field, kind of one chunk at a time. There were no big plays on that drive, but just consistently gaining yards every opportunity that they had to get all the way down the field. I think the big thing that I'm going to be curious to watch is DeMatha's offense hasn't really been on the field for a whole lot of the game. They essentially got a 3-and-out. Then there was a turnover that gave them great field position. They were able to kind of get the ball in the end zone at that point, and then they've been on the sideline for pretty much the rest of the first quarter, which has been the majority of it, I feel like, into the second quarter here. So that's always one of those things you want to keep an eye on, see if who's going to come out cold, right? Is the Gonzaga defense going to come out cold, or is the DeMatha offense going to come out cold?
Yeah, so it was a 3-and-out for the Stags and then a 4-play touchdown drive. So we've only seen 7 plays from scrimmage for DeMatha, despite being 3 minutes into the second quarter. And we talked a little bit about how the DeMatha defense wouldn't necessarily be fatigued if they get a quick turnover and score. But when they do that twice and then they have a lengthy touchdown drive scored on them, it could potentially lead to some fatigue. So DeMatha's offense would do well to put together a nice drive on their own to help their defense out. But first we have a kickoff here. It was a short kick. Ball returned to around the 27-yard line by Darrell Carey. We do have a flag on the play. It's like a personal foul against Gonzaga, so that's going to move the ball into very good field position for DeMatha to start this drive. Ball will end up being spotted probably around the 42-yard line.
Yeah, That's this type of stuff in a rivalry game. You are doing your team such a disadvantage just to kind of mess around on a play. That was completely away from the play. Gonzaga cover team basically guy was he was getting blocked by a DeMatha guy, threw him to the ground into the sideline. That's going to get a flag every single time, especially when you're that far away from the play. You're not trying to break out of the block to go make a tackle or anything. You're basically doing it just to do it.
All right, so DeMatha will have the ball at at their own 44-yard line to start this drive, but excellent field position for them with 9:12 to go here in the second quarter. We've got a late sub coming onto the field for the Stags. And Sab takes a snap, hands off to Lee, who runs left off tackle and is able to take the ball to around the 47-yard line for a decent gain on first down.
Yep, and this is what we saw DeMatha do on their possession where they ended up scoring, where first couple of plays, just chip away at those yards, right? It's if you have Elijah Lee gaining 3 to 4 yards on every touch, no reason to change it up, right? I'm totally okay, especially going into the wind in this direction, is just letting Lee and the offensive line kind of go to work and keep chipping away for this yardage.
Yeah, so again, we have mentioned that all of the touchdowns have been scored so far in this game into the end zone, leaning into the wind. So we'll see what DeMatha's offense decides to do now that they're going the other way. And again, they hand the ball off. This time Gonzaga is all over it. We've got a little bit of extracurriculars after the play, but the end result is a stuff on the carry to set up a 3rd down and 7 for DeMatha. It looks like a 3rd down and 6, so it looks like Lee did gain at least 1 yard on that play. Ball now spotted at DeMatha's own 48-yard line, but 3rd and 6. And so we will see what DeMatha's passing offense can do here with the wind going into their face.
Yeah, and even that, I think that was the hole was there for Lee. I think what happened was a little bit of a bobbled snap, which delayed the handoff and just made it so he got a little contact against him in the backfield, slowing his forward progress down.
So Sab rolls right and then cuts back. He's under pressure, but he's able to escape, and he's got room to run here. He lowers his shoulder and takes a hit right around the 42-yard line, but that's going to be enough to move the chains for DeMatha. So a big play from the quarterback there to move the chains.
That was a great job by both the offensive line to keep holding their blocks the entire time, right? They never gave up on that play. Sab almost got kind of grabbed from behind there at a couple points. But the O-line and the protection held together there, giving him enough room to slip out, and good eyes by Saab there to see where the open part of the field was. Now we got to work on how he slides, right? That is an actual skill, because if you've ever seen someone slide and they don't know how to do it, it is an ugly sight to see.
Yes, indeed.
I will use myself as a perfect example of someone who's done that, but because we want him to stay protected, stay in the game.
Well, again, I said a few weeks ago, shout out to the baseball Stags, but I grew up sliding, so I always see people not know how to do it, and I'm like, how do you not know how to slide? And I'm like,
Mine was more of a barrel roll.
Well, we've got a pre-snap penalty here for the Stags. Looks like it's going to be probably a false start. Again, too many men on the field once again. So that'll set the Stags back 5 yards after the nice first down run. Something I did notice on that previous play, the 3rd and 6, I was looking at the flags on the goalpost, and the wind was, for that moment, was not blowing. So I was like, maybe this will work out. But it ended up not mattering because DeMatha ended up converting the first down on a run anyway. But now it will be 1st down and 15. Ball will be spotted at the 47-yard line of Gonzaga. We have 7:38 to go here in the second quarter as DeMatha is trying to answer Gonzaga's first score of the game after Gonzaga put together a very timely and very good offensive drive. But DeMatha is also on the move here. So Sab once again takes a high snap, hands off to Lee, who's got a decent hole and is able to fight forward to the Gonzaga 40-yard line. So a nice gain on 1st and 15.
Yeah, what we're definitely seeing is if Lee can get some momentum in the backfield, if he gets off to a quick start and no one makes contact with him within his first couple of steps, it is looking like he's able to break through the line. He's getting it through those arm tackles that are the initial contact at the line of scrimmage, and able to kind of snap off these nice runs of 5 or 6 or 7 yards, which is highly effective for DeMatha. They just got to make sure that no one's able to punch through and slow him down.
DeMatha has the ball 2nd down and 8 from the Gonzaga 40-yard line after the nice 7-yard run to get that penalty yardage back. Once again, Lee runs up the middle with a huge hole, and he bulldozes his way through the second level down to just shy of the 20-yard line So a big carry to move the chains for the Stags, and they are in business.
That is, yeah. You don't want to get in Elijah Lee's way when he gets momentum going like that. He is a man who is hungry right now for yards, and he gets that momentum going. He is not afraid of contact at that second level. It seems like he's quite a bit bigger than some of the secondary out there for Gonzaga, so he's not going to shy away from those hits, and he just kept going straight, which is the smartest move you can do, right? Shortest distance between 2 points is straight, so he's taking that route to try to get to the end zone.
Well, speaking of hungry, our good friend and managing the broadcast, Corey Puffett, is munching on some chicken tenders and some fries, and they smell really good. So we're hungry in the booth too. So Lee gets a nice rest on this play. A different running back in the game for the Stags. This is actually Elijah Lee, I'm sorry. But a short gain on first down to move the ball to the 20-yard line.
Yep, and that was just, again, I think just getting the contact on him early is definitely going to be detrimental for Lee. It doesn't give him enough time to read the gap, to actually take the hole that opens up for him naturally. And then, again, he's a running back who doesn't mind contact, right? We want him to get momentum. That's going to give him a better shot at kind of breaking through a lot of those arm tackles.
All right, so second down, and they're calling it 10 here. And we've got a botched snap here. Sab just has to take a seat after he's unable to handle it. And we've seen a couple of sort of, complicated snaps here. And unfortunately this time it bites the Stags and they lose about 5 yards on the play.
Yeah, I will say I've been a little concerned with that. You've noticed that as well, where the snap doesn't look as clean as it normally is. We have Sab jumping a lot, just coming off the ground a little bit to get that snap, or it's high on his shoulder or something like that. It's eventually going to end in exactly what you saw there, right? A bobbled snap hits the ground. Saab, though, did the smart thing, didn't bend over to pick it up, just sat down, realized just take the loss and kind of move on from there.
So third down and 15. The Stags are in field goal range, but they would be kicking into the wind, and this would be a pretty lengthy field goal, so they'd like to at least get some yards here if they can't pick up the first. And Saab throws to his right, but the pass falls incomplete. Looked like good coverage there from Gonzaga. So
yeah, there was definitely a little contact there on the outside, but that pass was sailing pretty high above LeVar there. That was going to be what we would kind of probably define as an uncatchable ball. So that's why we didn't see a flag there. Curious to see what they're going to go with here, though. Are they going to end up trying the field goal, or they're keeping the offense out there?
Looks like the offense is staying on the field. They sent more receivers onto the field, so. Not attempting a 43-yard field goal into the wind here. DeMatha is going to opt to go for it. Yeah,
I think that's probably the smart call. I was going to be very surprised if they brought Reeser out with how much wind we have out here tonight to kick into it.
So a fourth down and 15, not a whole lot of choice, and they opt to go with the screen pass to Keys, who stumbles forward for a decent gain, but not quite nearly enough to pick up the first down. It felt like DeMatha was kind of happy to concede, just pick up a few yards and give Gonzaga not great field position on this drive after they were able to pick up a few first downs, but not realistically going to kick a field goal into the wind and didn't want to risk a turnover by trying to take a shot.
Yeah, I think that was a smart call. Usually you'll see offenses do that, right? Screen plays, it's kind of that you hit it big or you don't. And when you have LeVar on your team, it's like, why not take a shot with him, getting the ball in his hands. He's a playmaker. He always has the opportunity to kind of break a tackle here or there and squeeze through. But also smart move, essentially, with 4 minutes and 38 seconds here, giving Gonzaga the ball inside of their own 20 to try to basically have to push 82 yards down the field to get a score.
Okay, so the ball will be spotted at the 18-yard line after the turnover on downs for DeMatha. Lindsey once again under center to start this drive. He does a play action pass looking downfield, and he's got a man open, but the pass falls incomplete, a little bit outside the reach of his target. That was number 6. Jerry Harrison was the target. There was a little bit of contact there at the end of that play, but nothing that warranted a flag apparently. So,
yeah, that was honestly a good job by the defender there. There was a little contact, but the amount was totally acceptable. That was basically defender kind of coming from out of position because the receiver's coming out of the backfield there. And a little bit of body contact was happening, but it wasn't with the arms, it wasn't pushing. And with how tough of a catch that was going to be, the refs made the smart call there, and I think just kept the flags in the pocket.
Okay, so it'll be second down and 10 for Gonzaga from their own 18-yard line. 4:32 to go here in the first half. Gonzaga does have all of their timeouts. So again, Lindsey dropping back from under center and does it's a draw handoff here to his tailback, and it's a nice gain on second down. Ball carrier was Ashton Burton on that play. So that'll set up a second down and short after a nice gain.
The defensive line's definitely got to keep an eye on those draws. They're kind of losing gap assignments in favor of trying to get a rush on the quarterback. And when you're going to be doing that, that's definitely a situation where those draws are going to become pretty deadly.
So Gonzaga goes quick here and opts for a QB sneak. From my eye, it looked like he probably got enough yardage to pick up the first down.
I think it's going to be close. They haven't called anything quite yet.
We'll see where the ref decides to spot this, because there's a big pile of humans, and they are going to move the chains. That is a Gonzaga first down. And so it will be 1st and 10 for Gonzaga at their own 28-yard line after a hard-fought first down on the 3rd and 1 sneak. The clock is ticking. 3:43 to go. This time Lindsey lines up in the shotgun. He takes the snap, play action fake again, looking downfield, and had him in his face. And once again, DeMatha is, I couldn't tell if the pass was intercepted or not. It looks like it was. The ball was loose. The ball batted at the line of scrimmage, and it looked like a Stag was attempting to come down with it, and it looks like he did. Unfortunately, we do have a man down after the play, but that's another big turnover for DeMatha's defense, right when it looked like Gonzaga's offense was maybe picking up a little momentum.
That was a phenomenal play all around by the defense. The Gonzaga quarterback, I saw him looking downfield. I knew where he was trying to go. The coverage was completely perfect by DeMatha. He had nowhere to throw the ball, so basically that gave the D-line more time to get pressure. Finally, it looked like he was almost just going to toss it up into kind of a 2v2 situation where you had 2 Gonzaga receivers, 2 DeMatha defenders in the same area. DeMatha got a hand on the ball and popped up and was able to make the interception, giving DeMatha really favorable field position.
So the injured Stag, we'll get his number in a second, but he's able to walk off under his own power. Looks like he's holding his wrist, so
I think it's a hand or a shoulder issue.
So hopefully he's going to be okay. I could tell. My eyes were in the backfield, obviously looking at the quarterback, but I could tell the coverage was good just because he wasn't throwing the ball.
Yeah,
he bought a little bit of time kind of rolling out to his right, but ultimately held on to it too long, and DeMatha's pass rush was able to close and bat that ball.
You essentially had a receiver out on the side who was trying to essentially run some type of – it almost looked like a corner post, which you don't see very often. And in the corner route to the post transition, the coverage was right there with him the whole time.
So DeMatha gets the ball at Gonzaga's 13-yard line after the turnover, and Lee busts right up the middle and into the end zone for another quick DeMatha touchdown.
That was again, that's what we've been seeing from James Pace. When you give him a couple steps in the backfield to get his momentum going, he is breaking through that line of scrimmage, and arm tackles are not going to do the job of bringing him down.
So yet again, DeMatha stretches their lead to 20. We will see Rob Reeser kicking with the win, or into the win this time for the extra point.
Yeah, and just for an update too, that's James Pace, who was injured on the play.
Okay.
We got our training staff working with him. Definitely looks like he's talking, he's communicative. It doesn't look like any type of head injury, which is something you're always worried about. But we'll have to see what happens with him.
Yeah, James Pace has been a really key playmaker for this defense, so we obviously hope he's good to go and will be able to get back on the field and he's healthy. PAT is good for Reeser to put the Stags up 28-7, 3:13 to go here in the second quarter. And once again, Gonzaga finds themselves in a hole that they put themselves in via the turnover. But I would say the DeMatha has forced these turnovers. These haven't been, outside of maybe the bobbled snap, that was the kind of the one that Gonzaga gave away. DeMatha's defense has really created these turnovers with the interception and the now 3 interceptions that they've had on the batted ball, and also the MJ Martin interception from the first quarter.
I completely agree. The turnovers that have occurred besides the turnover that has been the bobbled snap, that is the DeMatha defense making that happen, and then not only making it happen, but capitalizing on it with their athleticism. Being aware enough, you see the ball go up in the air, not kind of staying on assignment, but actually to break eyesight of where you're going and track the ball to make that interception each time. with the time that Gonzaga has left, I'll be curious to see what their offense starts calling, because they've generally been moving the ball pretty slow. With 3 timeouts, I think they still got a chance to get it down the field, but we'll have to keep an eye on that.
So Reeser has a low kick here, and it is a good return, and it looks like the return man is able to break through the initial coverage, but a great effort to make the tackle at the 50-yard line. It looks like that was that Rob Reeser on the tackle?
That was Reeser on the tackle.
That was a heck of a play by him. He made a beeline to make sure that the Gonzaga return man was not going to get all the way to the end zone. So a great play by him to save a touchdown, but that was a really good return after a pretty impressive kick. Again, that ball was fielded inside the 5-yard line despite being kicked into the wind, but Gonzaga's return man was able to get up the field and make a play.
Yeah, that was a great kick. I mean, he kept it low, kept it out of the wind, was able to get inside the 5. That was a bit of a broken coverage there by the DeMatha's coverage team, because coverage is so built on timing. You're used to having that time of the ball hang in the air, but when the kicker has to get a little bit of a straight line behind it, it does throw off your timing. So you have to adjust in terms of your ability to read where the ball's going.
So after some pre-snap movement from Gonzaga,
this was a shift on Gonzaga's part. So I'm not as familiar with high school rules, but if an offense shifts and you have a guy step into the neutral zone under control and he steps back out before they're reset, usually that, at least I know in college, that would never be a penalty.
So the refs are conferencing about the call. Again, definitely a lot of movement going on with Gonzaga to sort of try to create some confusion for the Stags. The refs are currently leaving the ball where it is currently spotted, and they're picking up the flag. So we will just reset. Pretend like none of the last 20 seconds happened.
Yeah, that's again, when an offensive line or offensive personnel shift, usually defenders at the front line do have the grace of kind of, if they break neutral zone but under control, right? It can't be like they're rushing into the backfield. It's a one step. They're able to reset without having a neutral zone infraction. Because naturally you're watching to see when offensive players move, and if you have like 4 guys move on offense, well, that's what you're supposed to move off of.
So Gonzaga employs their quick break of the huddle again. It's a play-action pass, and this time the pass is dropped by Marco on the attempt to hit the tight end, who's been the big playmaker for them when they've had success on offense. So it was a little bit out of his reach. Looks like it was catchable, but couldn't quite haul it in that time. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Oh, he definitely should have had that catch. That was well within his reach to catch, and he would have easily had a 8 to 12 yard gain there.
Yeah, definitely
not really much, not much coverage on him, but that's just a miscue.
So a rare miscue from Marco, who has been very solid for Gonzaga here. And it will set up 2nd down and 10 just into DeMatha territory, courtesy of the great return on the previous kickoff. But Gonzaga's offense needs to get out of neutral here. Exactly 3 minutes to go on the clock. Lindsey takes the snap, hands the ball off, and not a whole lot doing up front. Looks like maybe a gain of a yard on the play. And a bunch of players piled up. And forward progress is stopped right around the 48-yard line.
Yeah.
So that's going to set up a 3rd down and long for Gonzaga as the clock ticks inside 2.5 minutes. Again, not a whole lot of urgency. We kind of saw that before the turnover. They were taking their time, running a lot of time off the play clock before snapping, and then DeMatha was able to force the turnover to sort of blow up that potential drive. It seems like they were trying to almost make sure that they didn't give DeMatha the ball back before the end of the half, but unfortunately, you turn the ball over. Well, that's the definition of getting the ball back.
It doesn't really matter when you have a really forced turnover by the defense.
All right, so 3rd down and 8 on this play. Lindsey looking downfield, under pressure, steps up in the pocket. There is a flag in the backfield, and he's able to get the ball for a quick hit just short of the 1st down marker. I'm imagining that's going to be a hold on the offense based on where the flag was. But the pass was caught by number 87. That was Tyler Freeman, but it doesn't look like that's going to hold up after the holding penalty.
Yeah, that's a big help here for DeMatha. They had great pressure there in the backfield. Basically, sometimes in those situations, as an offensive lineman, you have 1 or 2 options. You either make the hold and hope you don't get it called, right, and so the quarterback doesn't get sacked, or you don't hold and you basically ensure the sack. Getting the hold call there definitely is nice to push Gonzaga back into their own territory, creating a 3rd and long here. So if DeMatha can get a stop here, they're going to get the ball back with just over about probably a minute and a half left in the game.
So Gonzaga takes a snap, 3rd down and 17. Lindsey looking downfield. He's able to escape a sack. He's rolling out to his left, looking downfield, fires into some traffic, but the ball is caught. So that is a big completion for Gonzaga here to get themselves out of trouble. It was 3rd and 17. The ball was caught right around the 21-yard line for a big gain, and that's going to be a 1st down for Gonzaga, 1:36 to go. So that's a heck of a turn of events for Gonzaga after it looked like they were going to have to punt.
Yeah, that was definitely, I mean, the secondary should have stopped that. They had about 4 guys in the area, but that's a pass that's allowed to happen by the defensive line. Getting pressure but not keeping their lanes basically gave him so much time. Once you hit like 5 seconds in coverage, basically it's game over, right? The offensive player is always going to win that battle if I have an infinite amount of time to try to get open.
So play fake and then a wide open receiver, and he's going to go straight to the end zone for a Gonzaga touchdown. So from 3rd and 17 in their own territory, 2 plays later, Gonzaga puts a touchdown on the board to make it 28-13 with 1:29 to go here in the 2nd quarter, PAT pending. So, again, Gonzaga, when it looks like they're about to let go of the rope, they strike back and make a big play or two, and they keep themselves attached.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing here is we're seeing kind of the tale of 2 defenses, right? We have the DeMatha defense who's playing kind of at the highest level that we've ever seen them play. They're creating turnovers. They're getting pressure on the quarterback. Any of the direct runs where it's a snap to the quarterback and handoff to the running back, it's basically a guaranteed maximum 2-yard gain. But any of these kind of like little trick plays, that was actually a pass to the running back who was coming through the offensive line on the play action. They're just missing coverage on that stuff. They're missing coverage on the misdirection in the backfield, on the delayed runs by the quarterback. So it's definitely a bit of a tale of 2 defenses here. So hopefully in the half, DeMatha's defense can get some of these issues ironed out, because I think DeMatha has a real opportunity to kind of put this game away. They just need to get some stops on defense, and the defense has been on the field a heck of a long time here in this first half.
So Gonzaga had the ball first to start the game, so DeMatha will receive the 3rd quarter kickoff. They've got 1:29 to work with here
with no timeouts, though. That's going to hurt them if they're actually going to try to make something happen with this possession. That's the downside of kind of burning those timeouts so quickly in the first quarter. You were able to regroup, and clearly it worked for you, right? You ended up scoring 28 points here in the first half. But with having a situation like this where you might want to try to punch one in real quick before halftime because you're going to get the ball back, you really have slim odds here. It's all going to depend on the return position if you want to actually attempt to do that.
Well, we know DeMatha's special teams is capable of making a big play here. Speaking of, reminder that Gonzaga did have a big special teams play which set up that drive. They only had to go 49 yards for the touchdown. But we'll see what DeMatha's offense can do here with limited amount of time. It is a very short kick. Once again, it seems like they've made a strategy of this. And the upback's able to carry it to around the 34-yard line. So decent starting field position for DeMatha to start this drive with 1:25 to go. Again, no timeouts. But we'll see how aggressive DeMatha opts to be. They're up 14. They've, for the most part, controlled the game. They get the ball to start the second half. So we'll see what they decide to do here.
Yeah, that's an interesting strategy that Gonzaga's using here with the kickoffs. I think the idea is keep the ball out of LeVar's hands. But when the wind is at your back and you got about a 15-mile-an-hour gust to 20-mile-an-hour gust on that wind, I don't know how you don't try to put it deep, especially since you're essentially guaranteeing DeMatha good field position here. So
DeMatha's first play from scrimmage on this drive is a carry up the middle for about 3 yards to Elijah Lee. Clock is running, 1:12 to go. And DeMatha is playing with some urgency, though. They quickly get to the line of scrimmage. Saab looks to the sideline for some communication. He takes a snap and once again hands it off to Lee, who battles forward, trying to get to that first down marker, but he's going to be a few yards shy. And we are inside a minute to play here in the second half, or in the second quarter, I'm sorry. So, again, DeMatha seems like, if they pick up the first down, the clock stops because the chains move.
Yeah, I think this is the right call. You basically go 2 runs, maybe 3 here, get the first down. Clock is going to stop for the first down, and then you end up, deciding if you want to actually take a shot.
Okay, so there is the first down carry across the 45-yard line, so that will stop the clock while they reset the chains. 28 seconds to go here. But again, DeMatha is a long way from pay dirt, so we will see how aggressive they opt to be.
I think this is where you're going to see DeMatha take a shot down the field. If it works, that's great. If it doesn't, they're going to be on in halftime with the lead 28-14.
I think everybody would be fine with a 14-point lead, especially with how hotly contested these games have been. A 2-touchdown cushion sounds pretty good, but let's see what DeMatha decides to do here and how aggressive they are and how successful they are in carrying out the game plan, because again, the clock is running again because they do reset the chains, but the clock does not stop forever. And there's only 13 seconds left, so one more snap, one more handoff to Lee, who gets a nice carry again, takes it into Gonzaga territory, tackle just shy of the 40-yard line, but there's only 4 seconds left on the clock, and once the chains reset.
This is where me as an offensive player, I say spike the ball once and then take one Hail Mary at the end zone. You're within Hail Mary range, you might as well go for it, but yeah,
looks like that's not going to be the plan here. So DeMatha lets the final ticks run off the clock, and they will head to halftime with a 28-14 lead over the Gonzaga Eagles here on Halloween night. We will be back for the second half in about 10 minutes. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will be back at the start of the third quarter. All right, we welcome you back into Marvin F. Wilson Stadium in this contest between the DeMatha Stags and the Gonzaga Purple Eagles. Second half just about to get underway. DeMatha took a 28-14 lead into the half, and they will receive the second half kickoff. We saw some big plays for the Stags. They forced 4 turnovers, I believe, and I believe they scored all of their touchdowns off those turnovers, including 2 that were directly defensive touchdowns. So we'll see what their offense can do, probably with a normal field position to start this half, but it would be nice for them to get something going here to kind of put this game away early if they can.
Agreed, yeah. This is going to be we want a quick start after halftime. I'm always bad at remembering this, but if we're flipping field position, we're going to have DeMatha with the wind at their back receiving the football.
Yes, that is the understanding. They have the same. They go the same direction for the second and third quarter. So they had the wind at their back, or they're going into the wind for the second quarter, which means they will also be doing so for the third quarter, which has been something of an advantage because it's easier to throw with the wind at your back. So
actually, it looks like they're going to be going into the wind here, which makes sense actually.
Yeah.
Well, if they in high school, do they get to elect directionally which way they want to go in the second half?
I believe they do. So
which is what you'd want to do. So
okay, that makes sense.
You'd want to be going into the wind here in the third quarter, have it at your back here in the fourth quarter. That way you're basically forcing Gonzaga to go into it. So if the game comes down to field goals, they're at a distinct disadvantage.
If the higher leverage moments would be with you having the natural advantage, that makes sense. So DeMatha will receive the kick momentarily. Again, 28-14 is our score. And the kick again, Gonzaga opts for a short kick to an up back. And this time DeMatha is going to get a pretty nice return. He's able to bust out to the right. He broke one tackle, and he's going to go all the way down. He's unable to beat he's tackled right around the 22-yard line. So excellent field position to start for DeMatha.
That was an excellent return. If you're gonna give a team kind of that it's not a squib kick, but essentially, kicking it to that second layer of players. You don't want it to get into LeVar Keys' hands. You're really kind of risking a good return because you're already giving him good field position to start off with on that.
So a couple of broken tackles there. Looked like the ball carrier was going to be bottled up around the 35-yard line, but instead he breaks out to the right, and the ball will now be spotted to start this drive for the Stags at the 23. So much for a long drive for this offense that we were expecting to see. Great special teams play. Sets up a very short field for the Stags as they try to capitalize.
Yep. My favorite type of drive is an offensive player. Let's keep that field short and make it nice and easy.
All right, so Sab in the shotgun once again, this time hands off. And Elijah Lee is met a couple of yards past the line of scrimmage. Should be a gain of about 2.
That's probably the first time I've seen Elijah Lee touch the ball, get a full head of steam, and actually get stopped for only about a yard gain on that one. That was a good job by the offensive line of holding those blocks. I just don't think they necessarily created the holes that they've been creating at the end of the second quarter there.
And so a good push by Gonzaga's defense to avoid the big run play on the first play from scrimmage here in the second half. Sab looking to his left, pump fakes, fires towards the corner, and the ball is broken up, almost intercepted there. So that will set up a 3rd down and 9 for the Stags. Darian Terry was in the coverage there attempting to make the interception, but he was unable to haul it in the corner of the end zone, so it'll be 3rd down and 9.
Yeah, the defender was getting a little handsy there too. That was probably close to being called a pass interference, but not necessarily the best throw by Saab in terms of understanding the momentum of the wide receiver on that one. I'm just glad that didn't end up turning into a turnover.
Yeah, Saab looked like he pump faked it initially and then got put under a little bit of pressure, couldn't quite step into the throw, and it looked like he kind of sort of lofted it a little bit, but falls incomplete. 3rd down and 9 for the Stags here in the early going of the third quarter. Sab looking left again, fires over the middle, and the pass is caught, and it is going to be taken down inside the 5-yard line. So a really nice catch and run there by the Stags to pick up a 1st down.
Yeah, that was a great job with the catch and run. I think from what I've seen from the limited number of plays that we've actually had interim throws on for the Stags, It seems like the linebackers at the second level there aren't doing the best job of kind of covering their zones. So I wouldn't be surprised if DeMatha starts to exploit that if needed in the future in the game. Obviously, with this field position, I think we're going to probably see at least a run play here, if not a couple in a row. Just trust in Elijah Lee that he's going to get his shoulder down and get forward momentum for a couple yards.
So that catch and run was Austin Barber, who's made a couple of plays like that, kind of sneaking into the middle part of the defense. And the handoff is off right tackle to Lee, and he bullies his way into the end zone for a DeMatha touchdown to put them up 34-14. Lightning quick touchdown drive for the Stags after the big special team return. A nice third down pickup from Austin Barber, and then a 3-yard touchdown run for Elijah Lee to cap it off in just 1 minute and 38 seconds. So the start that DeMatha was looking for to come out here and sort of reassert themselves after Gonzaga had kind of clawed their way back into the game a little bit.
That's a great kind of start of the second half offensive drive too, right? You've had a couple successful run plays. You had a successful pass play. It really kind of builds confidence in a low-risk situation with your field position so good at the start. And with DeMatha going up 35-14 here, definitely giving you a bit of confidence running in through the rest of the second half.
So 10:22 to go here in the third quarter. Reeser's PAT was up and good, so it is 35-14 Stags. It's kind of been the back-and-forth margin. They've stretched the lead to 21 a couple of times now. But Gonzaga normally has an answer to kind of keep them within 2 scores after that. So we'll see what Gonzaga's offense can do. They had sort of a mixed bag. Either they had disastrous drives or they had very effective drives. Sometimes they would be at 4 turnovers. Tough to overcome that, but they did have a couple of drives where they were able to go the length of the field and put the ball in the end zone to sort of, again, keep themselves within striking distance of this football game.
Yeah, I think what we're going to watch too here, I'm going to keep an eye on the kickoff here because Reese is probably going to try to keep this ball low again with the wind going against him. I'll be curious to see if the coverage team kind of makes an adjustment. We've seen punt coverage not be the best, kickoff coverage not be the best. If I'm Reeser also, I'm trying to drop it probably on about the 15-yard line in the center of the field here. There's a massive gap there for Gonzaga, and that might cause some problems in actually them fielding the kick.
And so Reeser's last kick in this direction was fielded inside the 5 and taken for a big return here. This time the ball is caught at the 5-yard line, and DeMatha's coverage is much better on the play. The return man was only able to take the ball just outside the 20-yard line, so it'll be a long field for Gonzaga if they want to get that touchdown and get them back within 14.
Yeah, that was a great kick. But got a lot more air under than I was expecting with him going into the wind the way he was. And that gave the coverage team kind of their normal coverage timing, so they did a great job there. What are you thinking, Eric? Are we thinking we're going to start seeing some more of those delayed handoffs and misdirections in the backfield from Gonzaga, or do you think they're going to kind of start to try to air it out here with the wind at their back?
They're pretty far behind, but they've been able to move the ball when they've kind of had that effective run game. So I think you might see some of that early. They've also had success getting their tight end Braden Marco involved. So we'll see if he's able to have an impact here as well. Airing it out. They had maybe that one big pass play on 3rd and 17, but that's the only one I could think of where they really hit down the field.
And that was essentially a broken pass play, right? That was one where the defensive line didn't get in to actually sack the quarterback quick enough. You asked your defenders to essentially cover for upwards of 5 seconds, which is way too much. I'm kind of curious. Yep, okay, so we have a penalty against Gonzaga here, so this is actually going to back them up even further, favoring DeMatha for their field position.
Yeah, so the ball was originally spotted at the 21-yard line. The official is marching. I'm imagining he's going to spot it right around the 11. And that's what he does, so let's go.
That's perfect, yeah. No, I agree with your kind of call on what we're probably going to see from Gonzaga here. They've even, when they were down in the first half, it never felt like the play calling like panicked, right? They weren't taking big shots down the field continuously. I would just be curious to see what happens towards the end of this quarter, because this is the last chance you're going to be able to do stuff like that with the wind at your back, and you're going to be into it going into the fourth quarter.
So Lindsey takes the first snap for Gonzaga on offense this half, and he completes a short pass for a nice gain on first down to right around the 18-yard line to give Gonzaga a 2nd and short.
Yep, and those screens that we were trying to see him connect with earlier in the game, he actually hit his mark on that one for the first time. besides to Marco there, who had a couple of catches behind the line of scrimmage. It was an effective play, right? For screen plays, you don't need massive gains. You can kind of, churn away at those 7-8 yard gains.
And so 2nd down and 3. Ball spotted at the 18-yard line of Gonzaga. Fake pitch from Lindsey, and then he fires over the middle. Low throw, and the ball is incomplete. Not a whole lot of room to complete that pass for Gonzaga on the play, and it is going to be a 3rd down and 3.
Yeah, that was a well-defended play by DeMatha. Again, it's looked like they've maybe made some adjustments to not bite on those fakes quite as hard, at least so far in the first couple plays here in the second half. But great job by those backside guys kind of staying in responsibility, trusting the frontside guys to make the play if needed.
All right, so 3rd down and 3. Gonzaga trying to avoid a 3-and-out to start this half. Once again, Lindsey's under center. We've got a pre-snap penalty. It's going to be a false start. It looked like they were trying to hard count a little bit to maybe draw DeMatha off, which has been something that the Stags have been liable to do. But this time it backfires as Gonzaga moves early, and that'll set up a 3rd down and 8.
That was quite honestly smart play by Gonzaga, right? Trying to go a hard count. DeMatha has been a little eager here on defense. We've seen in other games too where they've gotten drawn off sides. But that's also the risk of it, right? Is you were essentially in a 3rd and short. Now you're backed up into about a 3rd and 8. It definitely limits your play calling options. You're going to have to probably try to air this out or hope that you can do some misdirection in the backfield to get a run play to go this far.
And these are the situations where Gonzaga has turned the ball over and given up defensive touchdowns. So we'll see how DeMatha's defense responds to the 3rd and long situation here. And we've got another whistle here. Looks like we've got a Gonzaga timeout.
Yeah, they were on the edge of getting delay a game. It looked like they were a little had some miscommunications in terms of alignment. They essentially had four receivers on the low side of the field, and it looked like the quarterback wasn't happy with the shift of the one receiver, or he wanted to go in motion, or he didn't like his alignment. But they definitely had to rearrange what they were thinking on that play to get in the right formation.
So after using none of their timeouts in the first half, Gonzaga quickly burns one on their first offensive drive. They're trailing by 21 points. They're going to need those timeouts, so that's a critical mistake on their part to not be able to get that snap off in time. And for their sake, I hope it pays off and it's worth it. They're able to pick up this 1st down, because if they don't, then burning that timeout was all for naught.
Yeah, these are always the one things I always would wonder about as a player, right? They're kind of the immeasurables of, like, is burning that timeout, knowing you might need it, right? You're down by 21. You're 9:30 essentially left to go in the 3rd quarter. It would be pretty beneficial to go into the 4th quarter with all 3 timeouts, right? Like, how costly is that going to be for Gonzaga?
3rd and 8.
So 3rd down and 8. Lindsey looking over the middle. Quick check down pass for a short game. That's not going to be enough to pick up the 1st down. So that'll set up a 4th down for Gonzaga. And again, they are on the wrong side of the field here, but they are a little desperate. They're down 21, but they look like they're going to put the punt unit on the field, which is probably the smart move.
I think with the time left, they feel confident. It's 3 scores. This is right outside of that time that you'd want to have to go for it. But I will say, great job by DeMatha's defense on that. Secondary locked up on any of the deep routes, and the linebackers did a great job. It's easy for linebackers to kind of bail out a little too deep into that coverage, but they held their position where they were supposed to be and basically were able to make that quick tackle to prevent any big gains.
So the punt is away, and great coverage by Gonzaga to bottle up the return man basically as soon as he received the punt right around the 48-yard line. LeVar Key's obviously not too inclined to fair catch because of his playmaking ability, but Gonzaga was all over on that one. Unfortunate to not have a turnover on that play.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's I'm happy that I never had the experience of being a returner, because it kind of feels like a lose-lose in that situation, right? You want to avoid making the fair catch because you want to try to make a play, but at the same time, you hear the steps coming, you have to worry about making the catch and securing the ball first. LeVar did the smart thing, right? He's trying to make a play, but he focused on the catch. He wasn't trying to run before the ball arrived, which allowed him to make the catch, even though contact came quick.
Yeah, up 21 and getting the ball at right around midfield. You don't really need a big play in that situation because you've got plays like this, a big carry on 1st down here for the Stags, and that's going to immediately move the chains for DeMatha.
With the carry, gets it over to Eagles territory, a gain of 12. First down, DeMatha.
Yeah, that was a great job by DeMatha offensive line creating that hole. And you could see he knew that there was more to that gain too, right? He just got tripped up a little bit, but it was pretty much green fields in front of him.
Yes, that was Cam Wilford on the carry there. I think that's the first time we've called his number today, and looks like he's going to he might stay in the game for a little bit longer. Again, good carry for him. First down to DeMatha after the gain of 12, and it will be first and 10 from the 40. There's another handoff up the middle. Gonzaga's a little bit more ready for this one, so it's a short gain on first and 10. Moving the ball to right around the 38-yard line. Should be 2nd and 8 coming up.
Yep. Don't hate this call. Right, the run game has been working for DeMatha. I don't think there's much of a reason to move too far away from it. 2-yard gains are going to happen in the run game, but I think DeMatha's the front line is clearly being successful against Gonzaga's front line.
Right, so 2nd down and 8 at Gonzaga's 38 here. Saab once again hands it off, and it's another run up the middle, and the running back's able to bully his way down inside the 30-yard line for another DeMatha first down. So that play looked like it might only go for a 3-yard gain, but the extra push from the running back, and DeMatha has a fresh set of downs, ball spotted at the 29-yard line, so nice carry.
As an offensive coordinator, you love this, right? You basically, your run game is producing. It opens up a lot of options for play action. You feel confident if you want to try to take a shot and throw the ball here because you know you can come back to the run. But it's really tough for a defense if they can't stop kind of up-the-gut runs like this.
So Cam Wilford is asserting himself on this drive after it was mostly Elijah Lee in the first half. And once again, he runs off left tackle here, and he's able to get down inside right around the 13-yard line on the carry. So another DeMatha first down. They're just dominating the line of scrimmage at this point.
Yeah, this is the type of game that you love to be on offense for, or you love to be calling the offense for, because it simplifies the game so much. If you can be successful up front, eventually what you're going to start to see as an offensive player, you start to see the D linemen maybe starting to put their hands on their knees a little bit more, taking deep breaths, right? They're taking a beating up front, and it can get your energy can get away from you real quick because, one, the emotion starts to come down a little bit because you know you're getting beaten. Two, it's physical up front.
So Saab, once again, this time fakes the handoff and hits, looks like Josh Parker on the catch for decent gain down the left sideline on first down.
Yep, and that was a smart play by Josh. He saw that there wasn't a whole lot in front of him, right? But he, instead of kind of trying to stutter step or make a play happen, he just put his shoulders north-south and accepted the fact that, hey, I'm going to get 3 yards here, but 3 yards is a whole lot better than me only getting a yard gain or possibly losing yards because I'm trying to make too many moves.
Yeah, and also seemed like once he was wrapped up, he wasn't all that interested. And we've seen how players can fight for yards and maybe fumble the football in that situation. He looked like he was prioritizing just keeping the ball safe.
Did you watch my game tape from junior year in college? I did that about twice.
Okay. Well, sorry to hear that.
No, I learned my lesson pretty quick.
No, that'll definitely do it. So an unsuccessful carry for the Stags here on second down, so no gain on the play to set up a 3rd down and 7. So after several successful carries by Cam Wilford, this time Gonzaga is able to bottle him up and has an opportunity to maybe get a stop here.
Yeah, I think even with the wind into their face, I think Gonzaga won't be able to stop. Wind into DeMatha's face, Gonzaga wouldn't be able to prevent a score here. I think we're within research range for a field goal if needed.
So 3rd down and 7. Saab takes the snap and hands off once again to Wilford, who stiff arms his way down the left sideline. Tough to see where the spot's going to be here.
I think we're going to be at 4th down.
But it looks like it's going to be a little bit short.
It's going to be a 4th and short, so I wouldn't be surprised. I know Coach Casey likes to go for these situations. He likes to trust his offense. You've essentially guaranteed that you're giving Gonzaga terrible field position if you don't make this conversion of a 4th down, but at the same time, with how the run game's been going, I would keep the offensive on the field and basically say, hey, guys, listen, this is kind of the ball game right here, right? We got about 2 yards to go. If we can get through this 2 yards and score, it's going to be game over.
So there's some movement up front. Looked like a An eagle jumped into the neutral zone, so that is going to move the chains for DeMatha, I believe. But that is a huge blunder for Gonzaga, who was trying to make a big play to get off the field here. Not going to happen this time.
Yeah, and with this field position and instead of 4 downs, I mean, that was huge. That could have been the football game right there. If Gonzaga isn't able to kind of create some magic on offense and have DeMatha really fall off, because with 4 yards to go, I'm running the ball every single play here, even if it takes 4. Not having any massive DeMatha mistakes in terms of a fumble or anything, I don't see how they don't score.
So another handoff up the middle to Wilford, who is able to fall forward for a gain of a couple yards there. Nice job by Gonzaga to create some initial contact behind the line of scrimmage. Wilford does a good job to make sure that there's at least a positive gain on the play.
Yep, again, on offense, I'll take that, no problem. That's not an issue. That's 2 yards that I'm very, very happy with. Let them keep going, feeding the ball 1 or 2 more times and knock it in the end zone here.
Yeah, if we, based on what we've seen, you got to figure DeMatha is going to win one of these reps pretty hard, and it's going to be a touchdown based off of just how they've performed so far, especially on this drive where they've kind of dominated. So this time a handoff off tackle to Lee, and he is able to get into the end zone for yet another DeMatha touchdown to make it 41-14 Stags. So Elijah Lee pays off the drive with a touchdown that Cam Wilford helped really carry down the field. And so DeMatha's teamwork leads to what is currently a 27-point lead pending the PAT.
That's a big score. At this point, DeMatha being up essentially 4 scores, it's going to create a situation where Gonzaga's it's starting to get out of reach, barring any massive changes in momentum here.
So another lowish kick on the PAT, but it is good, and so that puts the Stags up 28 points, 3:37 to go here in the third quarter. And we said at the top of the game we figured, based off of the way these conference games have gone, that this is going to be a competitive game. But Gonzaga's had turnovers, and DeMatha has played so far a remarkably clean game. Not very many penalties, which we've seen kind of hold them back.
Agreed. I think with DeMatha, it's been a situation where we've had probably the cleanest game that I've been here to call, at least for DeMatha. They've done a really good job of limiting the penalties. They've done a really good job of making sure that they've taken advantage of opportunities given to them by Gonzaga, right? Not kind of any of the inside the red zones, right? We've seen where they've stalled out a couple times in other games. They've really capitalized on all their opportunities. I think the only thing that kind of has been a little bit of trouble for DeMatha has been the defense, right? It's that kind of the tale of 2 defenses, right? Either they've been incredible, like off the charts in terms of creating turnovers and scoring touchdowns, or they've just kind of let Gonzaga churn their way down the field on a couple of possessions. So I think they've made some corrections to try to prevent that from happening in this half.
So Reeser puts his ball just shy of the goal line despite kicking into the wind, and DeMatha's coverage is effective here, and Gonzaga will start with the ball right around the 20-yard line.
Yeah, good kick, good coverage. I will say during halftime, I was down on field level, and it felt like the wind was calming down a little bit towards field level. Looking out there at the flags right by the scoreboard, it still looks like it's kicking up pretty good, kind of a little bit up in the air there, but I think the guys are experiencing a little bit less wind on the field here, so Reeser's able to get a little more leg behind it.
All right, so Gonzaga will start this drive, their second of this second half, trying to get something going after a 3-and-out and a punt. So Lindsey with a look like an RPO, but not quite on the same page with his receiver there. And the pass is incomplete.
Yeah, I think if he was on the same page with his receiver, that was going to be an interception by DeMatha linebacker there going to the house. The ball actually being behind the receiver there prevented the interception from occurring.
Yeah, so the errant throw perhaps prevented a more damaging play there, but it'll be second down and 10 for the Eagles here. Lindsey hands the ball off. This is going to the right. And a nice carry on second down after the incompletion. And that'll set up probably a 3rd down and short here. So incompletion puts them behind schedule, but a nice run play puts them back on schedule here. So it'll be 3rd down and short for Gonzaga.
Yeah, and I missed who that was, but all that was DeMatha's edge player there not setting the edge kind of exactly where he should. He took the inside shoulder of the blocker, who was the lead blocker, instead of the outside shoulder of the blocker, allowing the Gonzaga running back to get the edge there and make the play. It looks like they're going to be possibly running another. Nope, trying to draw offsides. Okay.
So, again, a quick break from the huddle. We've seen Gonzaga do that several times tonight, but a whole lot of nothing going on there. Looked like another hard count from Lindsay there, but out of the shotgun. So DeMatha does not bite, and we'll see what they end up doing. And we've got a penalty flag here, and it looks like a delay of game.
It looks like it, yeah. And quite honestly, that's a coaching error.
Yep.
If you're going to create a situation where you're going to try to get DeMatha offsides with breaking the huddle quick and then a shift, you have to know the play call that's coming next, right? And you see all the Gonzaga guys looking to the sideline, holding up their hands like, hey, coach, what's the play? You can't let that happen, right? The guys are executing on the timeline you wanted them to. You got to be ready to relay that play in really quickly, or have them know it pre-snap so that they can actually execute it.
There's also something to be said about letting that much clock run down.
Yeah.
When you're in a situation where you're trailing by 28 points, trying to pick up a cheap 5 yards, maybe not the best strategy. So Lindsay takes a step and takes a big hit and is now sandwiched and taken down around the 20-yard line, the original line of scrimmage. I'm not sure what happened on that play. It looked like he was trying to find somebody downfield, but then play got blown up.
Yeah, it looked like the receiver that motioned in the backfield, it looked like they were meant to be running the option, but Lindsay was almost looking downfield like he expected an underneath option play or two at the same time. I think it was a designed run, but definitely some type of miscommunication there where either Lindsay slowed up because he didn't like what he saw in front of him, or he was missing that low option opportunity.
So Jordan Stevens was the man on the stop there, and Gonzaga once again is punting the football away. Keys lets the ball bounce slightly over his head, and it takes a pretty favorable DeMatha bounce. Doesn't get away too far from the original spot. In fact, tumbles back about a yard towards the Gonzaga end zone. So DeMatha will take over on this drive right around the 43-yard line, attempting to push this lead above 35 points and get a running clock, which, again, not something we expected to see tonight.
No, that wasn't on my bingo card for a rivalry game tonight. But at the same time, I actually talked to Coach Casey earlier in the day, and we were both kind of lamenting the fact that DeMatha hasn't played a full clean game yet, right? They haven't had 4 quarters of them kind of playing to their full potential, and it looks like they're piecing one together tonight. Even we've seen some mistakes, but those are kind of normal, right? Those happen throughout the game. They've rebounded really well from each one of their smaller mistakes and really able to capitalize on what Gonzaga's given them.
So the first play from this drive is a handoff up the middle for a nice gain. Ball carrier tackled right around the 50-yard line, just shy of it for Elijah Lee. So about a 6-yard gain on first down for the Stags. I'm talking about playing a clean game. I feel like last week was probably the biggest scare that they've gotten this year, DeMatha has. They were trailing by 8. They had to go to overtime where they fell behind because St. John's scored on the first possession. So it really was a do-or-die situation, something that they haven't faced all year. And this game looks like a response to that type of scare from St. John's, and hopefully they carry that type of energy into the postseason.
Yeah, agreed. I think we're seeing a couple of things happen here with DeMatha tonight. One, I think the kind of the experience of the season is fully kind of setting in for them, which is really what you want to see in a team, right? You want to see a team peaking on their way into the playoffs. You don't want the team to kind of peak too early and then kind of slow down as the season goes on. And at the same time, I agree with you. I think they're trying to send everyone a message, right? Last week was not the normal kind of DeMatha team that you're going to see on the field. That combined with the fact that it's senior night, right? It's a rivalry game. There's a lot of emotions that they have that they're carrying through this game.
So after lauding DeMatha for playing a clean game, they pick up a false start penalty to make this now a 2nd down and 9 after Elijah Lee's nice carry on first down. So stop that. And so Saab takes the snap and once again hands off. And this time it looks like Wilford again carrying the ball, and he's able to push to around the 48-yard line. So they get most of the penalty yardage back, but that'll set up a 3rd down and medium for the Stags. As we approach the end of the 3rd quarter, the clock will expire. DeMatha leads 42-14 as we head to the 4th, and they currently have the football, attempting to put together one more touchdown drive. So we will again have a short walk.
I love it.
This is last week when you were not here. The walks were very long.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I won't miss another week. That's completely my fault. I'll own that.
Well, you don't have to apologize to me. You got to apologize to the young men on the field.
They're young. They got energy. They can handle it. But no, I think with this situation, it's really working to DeMatha's advantage, right? You got a 3rd and mid. You got the win now at your back because of the change of field position. I think that opens up the playbook for Coach Casey. Quite honestly, if I would seriously consider going back to the run here. But also, you have LeVar Keys, right? You have some really good receivers that you can do a quick pass to and kind of quickly pick up those 5 yards. So I think the options are kind of open for what they could do in this situation. And worst comes to worst, if you end up having to punt this ball, you have a very good kicker and a very good punter where hopefully he could place it kind of inside the 15 with a lot of air under it, causing DeMatha to be able to get down and cover and give Gonzaga some really poor field position.
All right, so we'll see what DeMatha has for this 3rd down and 5 when the 4th quarter gets underway. So 3rd down and 5 from the DeMatha 48.
I've seen the videos from I think it's DMZ.
It's a handoff to Wilford up the middle, and he's patiently waits until his hole opens up, and he slides forward to the Gonzaga 47-yard line, which is going to move the chains for the Stags.
Yeah, that was a really great run. What I've really enjoyed watching Wilford run, Elijah's kind of that north-south runner, right? He's going to get ahead of steam going. He's going to break a lot of arm tackles. Wilford's done a pretty good job of breaking some of the arm tackles, but it seems like Wilford's almost a little more patient in the backfield, too. He's letting the play develop in front of him. That's also a lot of credit to the offensive line, right? If the offensive line isn't getting all their blocks, you don't have that time in the backfield to kind of give yourself that stutter step to let the play develop and take the hole that presents itself.
Yeah, that last carry was giving Le'Veon Bell vibes from when he was a Pittsburgh Steeler, just kind of patient, waiting, jump cut, get to your spot, and pick up the 1st down. So another carry for Wilford here, and he's going to pick up a couple. DeMatha is moving the ball pretty methodically on this drive.
Yeah, and they're eating up a whole lot of time off this clock, too. This is not what Gonzaga wants to see, right? They had to burn a timeout already. They're down by 4 scores at this point. If they're going to have any hope in this game, they either need a turnover or they need a quick stop of downs here, and maybe DeMatha making a mistake in terms of a couple incompletions to not burn more time off the clock.
So we've got another pre-snap penalty. Looks like a false start against the Stags.
So, yeah, I think one thing I have noticed, it seems like the snaps on these false start penalties have been a little slower, a little more delayed because of a shift or almost a hard count, or maybe just Saab just getting a little out of sync in terms of his cadence. But nothing too overly concerning. I think we actually might see DeMatha take to the air here on a play.
So 2nd down and 14 after the penalty. And we have a new quarterback in the game, but he hands it off to Cam Wilford, who busts it into the secondary, is rumbling and tackled down inside the 15-yard line. So big 1st down run for Cam Wilford. So we do have a new quarterback. Like I said, Cooper Neal has entered the game, and we do have a penalty on the play here, and it's going to be a hold against the Stags. So that erases that big run for Wilford. So, again, we mentioned DeMatha playing a clean game, and
yeah,
here come some penalties. But
that is the first one that we've seen that I think would kind of really disappoint me. The the false starts or the offensive linemen trying to get a little jump on the snap there. They've been pretty minimal in terms of their false starts, but this one is definitely painful to watch, especially after a run this big. These are the ones that are a little deflating, right? They take a little air out of your sails.
So the ball will be spotted at the original line of scrimmage after the flag because the penalty was adjudicated 10 yards downfield, so it's basically a wash. But still, a big play comes off the board for the Stags as they are trying to push that lead to 35 points. So Cooper Neal in the backfield for the Stags. This is his first action today. And we've got another pre-snap penalty. And it is a false start against the Stags. So they're moving in the wrong direction so far on this series.
So we've had 3 quarters of clean play at this point.
Well, we do have some new faces on the field.
Oh, definitely.
Cooper Neal under center, or not playing quarterback, I should say. I don't spend too much time under center. And Cam Wilford has gotten most of the work in the second half here. He's been fantastic, but how much of that is, sort of connecting with a new quarterback and maybe some offensive linemen are working in? Because, like I said, this wasn't happening before we started seeing some substitutions for the Stags.
I definitely think that's probably some of it, but it's also a situation where you definitely need guys to kind of take advantage of the opportunity they've been given here. It's a big game. I know at this point we're still up by 4 scores, 9 minutes left. It's pretty much out of reach at this point. But you want guys to stay focused, even if it is their kind of first time in the game. Or maybe they're coming in a little cold and a little excited to get going.
So nothing doing on that second down carry. It looks like Tristan Sabb is heading back into the game for this play. That's created a little bit of confusion when it looked like maybe they were swapping quarterbacks, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I misread that. But it's another handoff to Wilford, who gets a big hole on the left side, and he rumbles all the way down to the 41-yard line. So a big gain on 3rd and long to sort of put DeMatha in a 4th down situation where scoreboard up 28 points. Perhaps they leave the offense on the field and they go for this.
Yeah, I think you're going to end up going for this, especially when DeMatha's been kind of breaking off such big runs. I would much rather keep the ball on the ground here. Gonzaga's going into the wind. The clock is running. There's kind of no point in trying to pin them inside the 10 here because going with the wind, you're probably still going to kick it in the end zone and they end up at their 20. So you might as well go for the first down just to keep the clock running.
All right, so DeMatha does leave their offense on the field, and once again, Neal hands off, and it's a carry up the middle. It's going to depend on the spot, but I think that should be a first down. We've got some extracurriculars on the outside here going on between Josh Parker and number 8, Langston Blair, but again, refs decide, so there is a flag after the play. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume it's connected to that play or that skirmish, but we'll see what the refs decide to do here.
I think they might have picked it up if there was a flag. No flag. No flag was flying.
Okay. So no flag on the play.
Yeah. I think when they're that far away and it's kind of a mutual exchange, as long as they're stopping at the whistle, they're kind of letting them play the game. Not getting anything too crazy, throwing flags with this game so far out of hand.
Yeah, it just seemed like, football's a rough game, but another big carry for Wilford down inside the 30-yard line. So DeMatha's offensive line, we got another penalty flag here, though, and I know I see that one there.
I'm assuming that's either going to be a hold or a face mask.
And it is going to be a hold against the Stags. So, again, this 4th quarter, we've seen a couple of holding penalties turn some pretty good runs into negative yardage because of the penalties. So hopefully DeMatha can avoid that. But again, 7 minutes to go here in the 4th quarter, and DeMatha has a 28-point lead. So not a whole lot of concern about the game's outcome at this point.
Yeah, I think the game's pretty much been decided in terms of win or loser. I think it's just going to end up being how much the margin is going to be by for DeMatha. I think also you're seeing some of these holding calls here at the end of the game. You got some new guys on the offensive line. Probably just wanting to they're a little too focused on holding their assignments instead of actually making sure that they're getting in the right position. Again, adrenaline gets going, and you don't focus quite as much as you should.
And so we've got a bad exchange here between Neal and Wilford, and it results in a fumble, and it looked like Gonzaga jumped on it. The refs are taking some time to figure out what the result of this fumble is going to be.
And this is where you want Gonzaga to, or I'm sorry, you want DeMatha to learn where you don't send out your defense onto the field if the refs are still deciding whose ball it is. You don't want to signal that you think Gonzaga recovered it. But
Well, I thought Gonzaga had it.
so
but,
same,
you
yeah,
know.
but you
And
hold that
clearly-
defense back.
Clearly, DeMatha thought that they had it too, and it turns out they do. So it's Gonzaga football after the first turnover of the day for the Stags.
Yeah, well-
Sort of a botched exchange between Neal and Wilford there, and happens. So Gonzaga will take over in plus territory here. 6.5 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter, and Gonzaga at this point playing for some pride points and maybe some, get some good tape on display here for as they prepare for their next game. But
Yeah, get some
not-
guys
not-
some experience and stuff
Yeah.
like that too. That's also, it's just funny. You learn that after playing so long. Is if there's a turnover on the field, even if you think the other team recovered, don't send the signal up. Hey,
relax.
they got
Wait
it.
till the ref makes the
Yeah,
call.
exactly. They don't need any more help because I've definitely seen them kind of read the room before and make the call based on what teams think.
So Lindsey hands off here to the tailback, and it is blown up in the backfield for a short loss. That was Jeremy Washington on the carry.
Yeah, I think you're going to see Gonzaga kind of signal probably on this play or the next play of whether they think they got a shot at kind of at least narrowing the lead a little bit. If they keep the ball on the ground, or short passes, they're trying to get guys experience, right? They're trying to kind of ride it out to the end of this game, not worried about the clock too much. But if you see them take a shot down the field here, they're going to be trying to actually put some points on the board and narrow this, just as a pride point.
So it's a lot of the same faces for Gonzaga, so it's the same starting lineup here, including Lindsey, who is rolling out to his left now and hits his man who drops the ball. So the ref rules it incomplete.
Ooh, yeah, it was
pretty close, but looked like the ref decided that he never had possession. So
that could have gone either way. That's also one of those things where, as an offensive player, you kind of have to realize that was borderline football move possession. That could have easily been ruled a fumble. Kind of one of those where if the ball's thrown behind the line of scrimmage, you don't care if you hear the whistle or not. You're diving on it because you're worried about it being called a fumble, like backwards pass. But that did Gonzaga lucked out there, and he called it incomplete.
yeah, Ashton Barton looked like he never quite fully had that ball as he was turning the corner to try to run upfield, and the ref agreed and ultimately ruled it incomplete. So Lindsey looking downfield on 3rd and long. He's pressured, rolling right, and he is able to fire to his receiver, and looks like the ball was not caught, so incomplete pass there.
That was, I think, also a bit of a missed call and a hold on the edge there on Gonzaga.
So that will set up a 4th down and 13 for Gonzaga, and they currently have their offense on the field. We've seen them make abrupt switches to the punt unit, but right now down 28 points with 5.5 to go. They're probably just going to try to pick this up and see what happens. And they're going to call a timeout now.
Yeah, I think if I'm a Gonzaga right here, you kind of have this unspoken agreement between coaches and teams, right? If you end up punting the ball here, you're basically signaling like, hey, we're waving the white flag a little bit. We realize the game is out of hand. Let's start putting in the twos, get some guys some experience, and ride this game out to the end. If they end up going for it, I'd kind of be surprised because in my mind as a player, that's them taking another shot on us. And my motivation is going to be I want my guys to go out there on the next possession, and I want to put another score on the board. I'm not worried about experience at that point. I might keep a couple more starters in than I should have to make sure that we make a point of, hey, if you want to keep running plays against us, we're going to keep running plays against you.
Right. So DeMatha has taken their offensive starters out of the game. And as I mentioned, Gonzaga's offensive starters are staying on the field for the time being. So clearly DeMatha has shown that they are not going to be as aggressive attempting to chase points here. Understandably, Gonzaga being behind, no shame in leaving your starters out there for as long as you feel you need to try to get ready for next week. But it is 4th and 13. Gonzaga has struggled to move the ball, especially through the air, and as we've mentioned, they are throwing into the wind, and the wind looks like it's picked up quite a bit again. So that definitely favors DeMatha on this play. So Lindsey looking downfield, plenty of time to throw, and he actually has an open man, and it is complete right around just a few yards past the line to gain. believe that ball was caught around the 34-yard line. So decent gain on 4th and long, and they pick up the first down. So good for them.
Yeah, that was a good play by Gonzaga there. Not the best of coverage by DeMatha. Again, kind of surprised that they took the shot. Feels like it's kind of like unnecessary at this point in the game that you just want to punt the ball. But definitely they still want to put some points up and narrow the lead before the bell sounds.
All right, so it is first down and 10 from the 34-yard line of DeMatha. Play action, fake handoff. Lindsey fires again. This time is off target, but we've got a penalty marker on the field, and it looks like it's going to be a pass interference against DeMatha.
Jamonte Dance Anderson with pass coverage on the play. There's a flag, pass interference against DeMatha.
Stay there.
Yeah, we did get the pass interference call against DeMatha here. Again, quite honestly, I'm a little surprised. Usually at this point in the game, you're seeing teams kind of settle down, not trying to do anything too crazy in terms of pushing balls down the field in one way or the other. But I mean, it's a football game, right? If Gonzaga wants to keep playing and they want to keep taking shots, that's definitely one of those things where DeMatha's going to have to step up and answer.
So a direct snap here on the play for Langston Blair was the ball carrier there. Not much of a gain, if anything at all, to set up a second down and 8 for Gonzaga. 4.5 minutes to go here. Stags still up 28 points, so game has been in hand for basically the entire second half.
What I'm really surprised by is we haven't called Marco's name once for Gonzaga. He was a very productive target for them in the second quarter there, and he's basically disappeared.
So a big hit for the Stags here on another attempted screen pass by Gonzaga. And again, even as Gonzaga is able to maybe move the chains via penalty or a couple of big plays, DeMatha has just dominated in basically every aspect of this game to this point.
Yeah, really, it's been 2 drives where they haven't, right? And that's been on defense. And I would say the first offensive drive. But when you can recall from memory the drives that you kind of missed out on making the right plays, that's usually a pretty good sign because that means there's too few of them to actually cloud the memory of which ones went well for you and which ones weren't.
Yeah, I mean, it's the fact that DeMatha's defense has scored as many touchdowns as Gonzaga's offense has is generally not a good sign for Gonzaga in this football game.
No, I'm not a football expert, but I think that's bad.
Well, you are a football expert, and you know that's bad.
Oh, okay.
So Lindsey's able to break contain here and get outside, but he's knocked out of bounds. He sort of flips the ball forward well out of bounds. I hope everybody's okay over there.
That was definitely incidental contact right there. That was a defender for DeMatha came up and hit him out of bounds and into another DeMatha defender. That's why that ball popped out. But
it's a good no call. Just making sure, especially as they move off the turf and towards the track, that kind of makes me a little nervous.
Sliding on a track, I've done that once, and it is not fun.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend. No. And I've never done it, but I could tell it's not going to be fun.
Yeah, I melted like 3 holes in the back of my jersey when I did it. Luckily, I was on my shoulder pad, so it didn't burn off skin. But
yeah, that would be my concern. Some road rash there.
Oh yeah.
All right, so 4th down and 8. 3:13 to go here. Once again, Gonzaga attempting to keep this drive alive and maybe get another score on the board before we get out of here. Lindsey looking to the corner, throws into double coverage, and the ball is incomplete. No flags from what I can see on the field, so that's going to be a turnover on downs for Gonzaga. And 3:08 to go. DeMatha takes over, and I think we're probably just going to see them try to run the clock out and get out of here.
Yeah, I think so. That was also a good no call by the refs there. There was definitely some contact, but it was a ball thrown into double coverage. One of the defenders who was underneath had clear positioning to the ball. He was able to get his eyes around and actually play the ball. I think the refs have overall done a really good job tonight. They've let both teams play, right? They've definitely called the penalties when they've been present and obvious. But this crew in general has done a really good job of kind of keeping the flags in the pocket and letting these guys play the game that both of them wanted to play.
All right, so 3:08 to go here. This is our last home broadcast of the year. So I just wanted to say thank you to you, Scott, for being here, and our good guy Corey, who's battling through illness today, and Jordan Gill, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight because he was also sick. And, of course, everybody on the crew, you guys have been fantastic all year. And it's been a really fun season. 5 home games, been really good. Can't wait for the postseason, but, I'm going to miss calling these games.
Oh, definitely. Well, a big thank you to you too, Eric. I mean, I know I am basically the guest here who shows up and just tries to be a little goofy and not say anything too dumb, and you guys do all the work around me, and I look halfway decent because of it. So I truly appreciate it. And it's really awesome to have all the kids out here, too, putting in so much work. Diego behind the broadcast, making sure all the cameras are in the right positions, and all the guys that do the video broadcasting. It's really impressive to see what they do every single week to put on this broadcast for everyone.
And Corey sends me a roster every week. I try to memorize it as best as I can, and I come here and call the game. It's pretty easy for me, and I usually get some free swag out of it, so it's a good deal.
Oh, I'm a procrastinator. I show up and I learn names on the day of.
I mean, normally they are procrastinating to get us the rosters, so I learn the names on the day of too. So we're basically on the same page. All right, so quick run for DeMatha there on first down. Again, not going to see them try to do anything too explosive here with under 3 minutes to go and the game well in hand.
Yeah, basically this is a situation if you're DeMatha, you're looking for 2 first downs so you can keep just kind of run out the clock. Hopefully Gonzaga doesn't get silly and call a timeout to try to extend anything. But I think with where the time's sitting, if I'm not incorrect, 2 first downs would basically secure it for them as long as they're not converting on first down to first down.
Right. So clock is ticking inside 2.5 minutes now. It is 2nd down and 6 after that first down carry for DeMatha. And I imagine you will see more of the same for the next few plays. Another handoff. This time Gonzaga is a little more aggressive and is able to stuff that play for a loss to set up a 3rd down and probably 8 or so, depending on the spot. We are now inside 2 minutes to go here in the 4th quarter. Again, DeMatha up 42-14, so a big win here for the Stags to finish off their regular season record at 9-0 and conference record 4-0, and probably the best game they've played top to bottom all season. So a great sign heading into the postseason when they'll play. We don't know yet, but we'll see who they play in 2 weeks. But they'll have to win 2 more games to repeat as champions, but they look like they're in good shape right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think, again, talking to Coach Casey earlier today, we were kind of saying it's usually you end up having one of 2 teams, right? You have the teams that have a bit of the dog in them, right? They want to fight in terms of they're aggressive, they're a little more physical, getting after it. Then you have the other teams that are a little more focused on kind of the strategy of the game. They're a little bit more heady, like a quarterback, intellectual, looking at football. You usually end up with a blend of people on a team like that. So if they balance each other out, it works out really well. And we have that at DeMatha. We have those guys who have that really strong fight in them, but we also have those guys who think really smart on their feet, using their football brains. And this was, I think, a game where you saw kind of both of those merge really well. And those guys were able to come out and perform really, really well for particularly the first 3 quarters when most of the starters were on the field.
So that run play went for no gain, setting up a 4th down and 9. The clock is ticking, soon to be inside 30 seconds. DeMatha is in no hurry. They seem to be happy to either just call a timeout or take a delay of game and either punt the ball away or just do another 4th down play, and hopefully Gonzaga is on the same page and we can get out of here with no more injuries. And
Gonzaga actually did us the favor of calling the timeout for us.
All right, so 24 seconds to go here. We'll see how many more snaps there are in this one. Hopefully, you'd like to think it would just be 1 or 2, but
yeah, I think we're going to get 2 at max, and then we're going to be on our way out of here.
All right, so we will have the game through the rest of it.
Just to reiterate some of the stuff that Eric was saying, this win is clinching DeMatha the number 1 seed heading into the playoffs, and they will have their playoff game either November 14th or 15th. Obviously, the opponent to be determined here with some more games to still happen.
All right, so 24 seconds to go. 4th down and 9 for the Stags, and the punt is away, and it is another good punt. The return man fields it around the 37-yard line, moving laterally, but he's bottled up by DeMatha with 12 seconds to go here in the game. And I have to imagine Gonzaga is just going to hand the ball off once or take a knee and wrap this thing up.
That was a great job by Jamonte Dance Anderson setting the edge. That's probably that would be what we would call teach tape, right? Teaching tape. That's a tape you want to save and you want to end up showing to guys in the future on how you set an edge on a punt return, punt cover. He basically realized that the returner wanted to get to the edge. He knew he had help inside. He had a blocker on him, but he kept his outside shoulder free and didn't let that returner kind of go anywhere, which is pretty much going to lock up this game to be a one-snap game. Hopefully Gonzaga either just does a simple run up the middle here, or looks like they're coming out to actually take a knee just to let the clock expire. But we'll wait and see what they're actually going to run. Nope, not taking a knee.
So Gonzaga once again lines up the shotgun formation, and it's just a quick handoff up the middle, and that's going to put this game to bed. 2 seconds left, and the clock expires. DeMatha wins 42-14 over the Gonzaga Purple Eagles to push their regular season record to 9-0, 4-0 in conference, locking up the #1 seed. Thank you guys for tuning in. Keep following the Stags during the playoffs in a couple of weeks. But that's it for us this year on DM Stags TV for the football team. Thank you for tuning in all year, and we will see you next fall.
See you then.